All right, shalom, everyone. Shalom. Welcome to the Hebrew of Israel channel. And tonight we have a guest, Yeshub. You can introduce yourself, or Genesis 49ers.
Shalom, shalom. Everybody know me as a scholastic bully, Genesis 49ers. We're all about research, empirical data, informing and creating strong arguments to back our claims. And you guys should know by now our basis is DE is Shem, CF is Japhet, AB, being Ham, and all the extant populations descend from the sons of Noah. Yep, and we represent Yap gang in the building. Shalom.
Right. So I'm gonna, give a little bit of time for folks to come in because tonight's just a simple Q&A night. Y'all can ask all your questions that y'all wanted to ask me from the previous series, which was Haplogroup J and Haplogroup E versus J. But I'm going to first, while I let everybody come in, I'm going to pull up my YouTube channel so y'all can see what I did with my playlist to make things easier for y'all to kind of figure things out and on how to watch the videos. So y'all should be able to see this. All right. So as y'all can see, if you go over to my playlist, I have everything laid out for everyone when it comes to the information that I've covered. What I typically like to do is at the end of a series, I post just a ton of playlists that kind of cover some of the things that I already went over. So let's start right here. My playlist that I just now ended, the series I just now ended, Haplogroup J, Academic and Biblical Origins. If you want to find everything dealing with this mini series, just come over here. The playlist, Haplogroup J, Academic and Biblical Origins. I deal with the biblical origins of Haplogroup J, the origins of Haplogroup J, Caucasus hunter-gatherers and Haplogroup J, Caucasus hunter-gatherers in the Yamnaya culture, Proto-Indo-Europeans. And then I do a part 2 of Haplogroup J, Academic and Biblical Origins. And then I go into the Anatolian Proto-Indo-European origins. I go into the Armenian Proto-Indo-European origins. I go into Armenian and Anatolian Proto-Indo-European origins and Haplogroup J. I go into Haplogroup J and Indo-Europeans, dealing with Greeks, Armenians, Iranians, and Indo-Aryans. And then Haplogroup I and J, Academic and Biblical Origins. And then the origins of Haplogroup IJ and I, Indo-Europeans, Japheth descendants. Haplogroup J is Japheth. Togarma, Haplogroup J in Turks. Togarma, Armenians and Anatolians. Ashkenaz, Germanics and Nordics. And then Togarma and Ashkenaz. So that's the whole playlist from the series that just ended a couple of days ago. So y'all can just push that, save it if you want. And then after, that series ended, I created a ton of new playlists. As y'all see, it was updated 2 days ago. And if y'all want to learn more about Haplogroup J, just push this. And the way I differentiate between the playlists is that I say my videos when it comes to mine, but I don't put anything. I just put the actual playlist title if it's not my video. So I have Haplogroup J. I'm going to update this more. I have Caucasus hunter-gatherers. I'm going to update that more. The Yamnaya culture, Proto-Indo-Europeans, Anatolian Proto-Indo-European origins, Armenian Proto-Indo-European origins, Haplogroup I, and then just, Indo-Europeans dealing with migration and language. And then videos on Japheth, videos on Togarma, Anatolians, Germanics. And so all of this playlist, starting from Haplogroup J to Germanics, is dealing with specifically this playlist, all the stuff that I've covered. It's just other people covering the same thing that I covered here. And we just ended another mini series, which was Haplogroup E versus J, who is Proto-Semitic Shem. And there's the 3-hour video, but I broke it up, as y'all know by now, I assume at least, that I break these videos up into smaller segments, bite-sized pieces, because the whole dinner can probably be too much for some people. So I try to break it up. So I have Haplogroup E versus J, who is Proto-Semitic, Shem, the 3-hour video. And then I have Haplogroup E versus J, which best fits the origins of Afroasiatics. And then I have reasons why Haplogroup E is Proto-Semitic and Haplogroup J is not Semitic in origin. Then I have the genotype of 2 Middle Eastern types, the Natufian Afrosan Semites versus the Indo-European Iranian. And then I have Indo-European kingdoms in the Near East, the Mitanni, the Hittites, and the Kassites. And then I have the phenotype of 2 Middle Eastern types, Natufian Afrosan Semites and Indo-European Iranians. So there is the full mini series for that. And then I updated this, and the only thing I added was information on the Hittites if y'all want to learn more about the Hittites, information on the Mitanni if you want to learn more about the Mitanni, and information on the Kassites if you want to learn more about the Kassites. And I advise that you learn and look at all these playlists. Even though I did not make these videos, I still recommend that you watch them to get a deeper, fuller understanding of the ancient world, of the Maya culture, of the origins of Europeans, on the origins of ancient populations like the Caucasus hunter-gatherers or haplogroups like Haplogroup I, and also ancient civilizations like the Hittites, the Mitanni, and the Kassites. So check out these playlists just to broaden your understanding of the ancient world. And so now I'm going to pull this out of the way. Actually, I guess I'll keep it up, but I'll just push this over here. There we go. All right. Zoom down so y'all can see the playlist. All right, there we go. Okay. So now let's see if there's any questions y'all have, because like I said, tonight's just a Q&A. So ask whatever questions you want. And I can try to answer some of them, and I'll let my guests answer some as well. So let's see. Shalom. Yeah, shalom. I'm not going to try to pronounce your name, but shalom. And this is G. I can pronounce that. It's been great learning. Yeah. No. Yep. Shalom. All right. So I'm curious as to why R1 is so strong in the Chad region as equally or even higher than in European or in Europe at times. All right. That's a great question. I'll first tackle it, and then I'll let Yeshub tackle it. So the specific R branch that we see in Chad is R-V88. That's one specific branch of Haplogroup R. It's part of the R1b branch because there's R1a and then there's R1b. So the Cameroonians and the Chadic people that have Haplogroup R are the R-V88. And it's hard to say that it's higher or gets higher in Chad versus Europe, because specifically it will be high in certain African populations, rather than it just being high in general in Chad. It's specifically high in certain African populations. But the reason why it's so high is because a lot of a lot of those R V88 men had a lot of kids, and so you're going to see a higher percentage. The more you have kids, the more you have male descendants. But you can tackle that question as well, Yeshub, if you want.
Yeah, so when you see R1 or RVA8 and Chad and associated with the Hausa, also associated with the Fulani, certain tribes of the Fulani, it's from a migration from Eurasia. It's been proposed that a migration from Eurasia took place. Some people will say they took Gibraltar, as you know, the tip of Africa that meets Europe. Some people will propose that, but I've been seeing a lot of hypothetical, theoretical migrations taking the Levantine corridor into sub-Saharan Africa, and eventually making their way to Chad. So, just like the brother said, these males came in and they became populous. The interesting thing about them is we believe the same thing happened with yap markers. That's how they got to sub-Saharan Africa. They migrated down there. And with superior technology, agriculture gives you what? The ability to sustain larger populations, because now you have surplus of food. When you have surplus of food, you can trade it. You can also sustain larger populations and feed larger populations. So um, population booms are imminent when you begin to practice agriculture. This is why foraging groups are usually smaller um, in that regard. So this is why you see a considerable amount of RVA8 in the Chadic region. And that's my answer.
Yep, very good, very good. What haplogroup are African Americans? African Americans have various haplogroups from haplogroup E and Bantu to haplogroup R, even haplogroup G, which is seen in only about like 1% though. It's very minimum. But also haplogroup T, haplogroup A, haplogroup B. I think Chris Rock has haplogroup B if I remember correctly. Um, but the highest percentage when it comes to African Americans would be haplogroup E, whether it's E1B1B or E1B1A. We know that Dante Forson has E1B1B. He's a great example of an African American with that haplogroup. But a lot of us have E1B1A. And I think the second largest haplogroup among African Americans would be haplogroup R. And then after that, it would just be a bunch of different other Eurasian clades like T, maybe some J, some G. And also keep in mind, other peoples were part of the transatlantic slave trade. It wasn't just E and B and A. You would have had A and B markers as well. That might actually be the third highest among African Americans, A and B, I would assume. But did you want to tackle that or go to the next one?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. African Americans are a hodgepodge, with the majority being yap markers, E1B1A and E1B1B. Then you have some E1A. And like you said, A and B markers, and you have some R markers. So some, and what that tells you is Eurasian integration happened. You had European migrants come over, marry our women, our African women, and the children carried those Y chromosomes to this day, but they look like an average quote unquote African American. So we are a hodgepodge. We're not uniform. We're not a monolith. So we have various haplogroups amongst the ethnic group known as African American. I land there.
Yep, fully agree. Let's see. And shalom to you as well. Shalom to this channel. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for seeing it. I like seeing new faces and new people. So thank you for joining us. Let's see. Oh wait, no, that's old. And no problem, G. No problem. Could you touch on the haplogroup for Neanderthals and Denisovans? If I remember correctly, I think didn't Neanderthals have like some haplogroup called haplogroup X or something like that? I can't remember because I don't really deal with the Neanderthals that much and the Denisovans because they're archaic humans and they're kind of irrelevant to modern humans. But maybe you have something on them.
Well, Neanderthals, they have yet to find or sequence a Y chromosome from a Neanderthal. So we don't know what a Neanderthal Y chromosome looks like. Same thing with Denisovans. You have to understand something about archaic humans. We have very little on the fossil record, and the very little we have, we haven't been able to sequence, at least for the male side, a full Y chromosome DNA to determine what that would look like. I believe we found mitochondrial DNA, but as far as the Y chromosome side, we do not know. And it's just the same thing for Denisovans. And the only thing we have of a Denisovan, I believe, is like a fingertip or something like that. So we're pretty much, grasping at straws, so to speak. when we're dealing with Neanderthals. So the short answer is no. Science has not discovered haplogroups from Neanderthals, at least on the Y-DNA side. And Denisovans, we pretty much don't know anything about them on the genetic level.
Yep. So R is originally from the so-called Middle East or a return to Africa. Yeah, I think R originated in northern Eurasia. I think that's what they say, northern Eurasia, because R is connected to, because the brother of R is Q, which is seen in Native Americans. Their parent clade is P, I believe, and I think P popped up somewhere in northern Eurasia. So yeah, R would have been a back to Africa migration of Eurasian peoples. Um, but I don't ever remember reading that R originated in the Middle East. I think it was somewhere a little bit more north of the Middle East, northern Eurasia. What about you, Yashub?
Yeah, that's pretty much the same. They say around the Balkans or something, they posit that, and that's what they hypothesize. So yeah, about northern Eurasia, and they believe they leaked out of that area, with which we all know. If you guys been following the channel, you should know the Naya. The Naya carried that haplogroup into Europe and began to displace many of the autochthonous Europeans. Um, these older groups that would have had G, that would have had I, like Cheddarman's population, they would have displaced them. So originally they started in Eurasia and then worked their way into Europe and, as we know, into sub-Saharan Africa as well. Not the Yanaya, but children of R, descendants of R, the progeny of R, a branch of them did make their way into sub-Saharan Africa as well. But yes, they originally started in Eurasia or the Near East or what have you.
Yep, you made it. Glad you made it. Nice. Glad you made it, Anthony. Is he from your channel? I think he is.
Yeah, I see him all the time on the channel. Yeah,
Okay.
he's a regular.
What do you know about mitochondrial? Is that L? I think that's L1B2C1. I don't deal too much with mitochondrial DNA. The most I deal with is mitochondrial L1B1A18, L2A, and L3. But L1B2C1, I haven't specifically dealt with that one. What about you, Shoot?
All I know about L1 and L2s and those different clades, L0, those clades are like paleo associated with paleo African males. Um, so African American men will we pick those mitochondrial DNAs up once we came inside of sub-Saharan Africa, conquered and took the women. So this is why you have the LU, L1, L2s. The mitochondrial DNA that they pair with haplogroup E is L3. It's actually L3. So these other markers that you see like L1, L0, we absorbed those markers from my understanding and my research when we went into sub-Saharan Africa, took the pygmy women, Khoisan women, so on and so forth. That's why you'll see some African Americans having that mitochondrial DNA once they take their DNA test.
Yep. Shalom to you as well. Shalom, and you're welcome. And let's see. I think this is the same question. Yeah, it's the same question. Yeah, I think R originates with Etruscans. Um, R wouldn't originate with Etruscans because Etruscans are they are ancient what Bronze Age ethnic group. So the haplogroup exists before the ethnic group. So I wouldn't say that R originated with the Etruscans, but you can have Etruscans with haplogroup R. Yes, I would. That's how I would word that. Um, what about you, Yushu?
I mean, that's the same way I would approach it. Etruscans exist too late in history to say that haplogroup R itself originates within the Etruscans. Again, haplogroup R would have diverged thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the Etruscans pop up. So we can't really designate them as being the originators or the autochthonous population to bring R into the earth. Um, like I said, most of the evidence points towards in the Near East, Northern Eurasia, Balkans, somewhere around there is where it's supposed that they arose, and that's where we get our best evidence from on that. Etruscans is Italy, so I don't know. It wouldn't be in Europe yet.
Yeah. Let's see. Chatter. I'm assuming you mean Chatterman, but can you retype that question? But if you're talking about Chatterman was R, that would be a bit incorrect. Chatterman had haplogroup I actually, the brother clade of haplogroup J. And that would have been a Chatterman. Uh, yeah,
No, he was I.
yeah.
Cheddarman was haplogroup I2, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Early Paleolithic Western European lineage.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for answering my question. I have another question. Could you provide in layman terms what do alleles size mean? Well, alleles deal with genes. For instance, when it comes to light skin, um, what's the allele for light skin? I forgot the specific the
It's
term.
SLC2485.
Right. So that would be an allele that deals with like the genes and whatnot. I actually have a video detailing alleles right here actually. If y'all don't mind, it's only a 3-minute video, but I feel like I should just play it just for you because that's a good question. You can tackle the question first, Yashub, and then I can play the video if you want.
Well, I mean, the allele size is just going to tell you if it's in the form of a SNP or a sequence. That's it. How that has an impact on gene variants and stuff of that nature. I mean, that's technical stuff you guys can all look up. But that's basically what the allele size is. Pretty much how big the allele is. It can either be a SNP or it can be an entire sequence.
Right. And alleles affect things like eye color and skin color and hair color and stuff like that. I could play this video, but it's 3 minutes. I don't know if y'all want to like watch a 3-minute video. That kind of does sum it up.
Yeah. Play the allele. Yeah.
I always make sure I have my mute on so I don't get no ads. All right, let's see. So here's a decent video dealing with alleles. All right.
Hello, you are watching Quick Definitions. Stated clearly. What is an allele in genetics? As we've learned in earlier videos, a gene is a stretch of DNA, usually a long stretch of DNA, that codes for something. What exactly do genes code for? Technically, they either code for specific proteins or they act as templates for functional chains of RNA, but because proteins and chains of RNA go on to produce traits, things like eye color and bone length, we can say that an organism's genes, in a roundabout way, code for an organism's traits. An allele is an alternative version of a specific gene. If that sounds confusing, that's okay. It should become clear once we see a simplified example. Let's say there is a gene in a species of frog that codes for the frog's eye color. We will call it the eye color gene. No need to get too creative here. This frog has a version of the eye color gene, an allele of the eye color gene, that codes for yellow eyes. He has the yellow allele of the eye color gene. His buddy here has a different allele, a different version of the eye color gene. He has the red allele of the eye color gene. Now, this hypothetical example is overly simplistic. In real life, there are multiple different genes and sometimes environmental factors that all play together to determine an animal's eye color. Also, Most animals have 2 copies of their own DNA, meaning that a single animal can actually have 2 different alleles, or 2 different versions of any given gene in its own genome. Furthermore, most alleles don't have any actual effect at all on a creature's observable traits, but don't worry about any of these technicalities for now. The important thing to understand is this: an allele is an alternative version of a specific gene. That's it. New alleles, new versions of old genes, come into existence via mutations. Once a new allele exists, it is forced to compete with other alleles in the population. For example, when the yellow eye allele happened to emerge within our hypothetical frog species, it might have given its host a survival advantage because its host could better blend into its environment and hide from predators. Because of this, over many, many generations, the yellow allele could dominate the population, completely outcompeting the red allele, causing the red allele's extinction. When an allele dominates an entire population, we call this fixation. So there you have it. An allele is an alternative version of a specific gene. I'm John Perry, and that was a quick definition of an allele.
Yep. And if you want to check out that video, it's actually
Stated clearly.
It's actually in my playlist titled Allele. I might update it because I only have one video for each form of DNA, like autosomal DNA, STRs, haplogroups, alleles, DNA, genes, and chromosomes. Check out this video, my video dealing with, haplotypes or genotypes, should I say. And it kind of details everything, what are haplogroups and why is DNA important. And I guess for the new people that are here, I'm just gonna quickly go over my playlists real quick. So I have a whole playlist dealing with DNA, but I recently ended a series. I'm gonna make this quick. I recently ended a series called or titled Haplogroup J: Academic and Biblical Origins. You can go to this playlist to look at all the videos dealing with the, as I said, the academic and biblical origins of Haplogroup J. And every time I end a series, I try to make a playlist that details specific information that I covered in the videos. So starting from Haplogroup J to Germanic peoples, I have various videos that detail everything from here, like Haplogroup J, Caucasus hunter-gatherers, Umayyad culture, Proto-Indo-Europeans, Anatolian origins of Proto-Indo-Europeans, and Armenian origins of Proto-Indo-Europeans, Haplogroup I, Indo-Europeans, Japheth, Togarma, Anatolians, and Germanics. This whole playlist is dedicated to this video because I feel like y'all should understand and know just more deeper basics of the ancient world and ancient populations and DNA from other people. And these are really good videos to watch, and I'll update them for more information. And then I just ended another series 2 days ago titled Haplogroup E versus J, who is Proto-Semitic. Just look at this whole video series for all the information there. And I updated my playlist again with the Hittites, the Mitanni, and the Kassites because I mentioned these groups within this video series. So all of this is so y'all can have an even deeper understanding of the ancient world, ancient human populations, ancient civilizations, other than just from me, but also from other people. Basically say the same thing. So now I'm going to get back to the Q&A. So let's see. What do you know about Haplogroup E-M96? From what I know, they mixed with the Bantu expansion. So in all actuality, the Bantu descend from E-M96 because that's basically Haplogroup E. So they didn't mix with the Bantu. It's rather that they are the Bantu. At least the Bantu descend from one of the subclades of E-M96. The Bantu mixed with Paleo Africans and True Africans, which would be Haplogroup A and B, as well as Mitochondrial L0 and L1, and other L lineages. So, but yeah, did you want to tackle that as well?
Yeah, I mean, EM96 is a basal branch. It's the most basal branch of haplogroup E, and it still persists It may persist in today's day. I think it's an Arab Arabian population may have it.
Yes, they have the East Star in Arabia.
Right. So what that proves is that the EM96, like these older haplogroups, still can exist in today's times. What that could tell you is that group of people that have that marker can have children that can potentially mutate to other branches of E. A reason why that's important to understand is certain people say, "Oh, well, I read a scientific article and it said that this marker came 40,000 years ago." Well, yeah, but if they can persist and exist in later times, they can still mutate and produce downstream markers of that mutation. So everything's not concrete or definitive. The second part of your question said, from what I know, they mix with the Bantu expansion. Well, the Bantu expansion consists of downstream markers of EM96 because everything after EM96, E1A, EP2, E1B1A, E1B1B are downstream markers. I don't know about that particular marker being amongst Bantus today or in times past, but if they are, then that's what we expect to see with YAP markers roaming around Africa, North and Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yep. So let's see. Upon plugging in my raw DNA into the answers I found out my family by DNA and anything or thing. Oh yeah. So when it comes to your family members, you definitely can have family members with different haplogroups. Actually, I should pull up a little chart that I have that can actually detail it. I might do that in a minute. I'll do it when Yeshub actually explains it here in a second. But yeah, you can actually have, like, you yourself can be E1B1A, but you can have, let's say, a distant cousin with haplogroup A or a distant cousin with haplogroup R. Because remember, us here in the Americas, we were around Europeans, and when the slave trade happened, Europeans took Africans with any haplogroup, A markers, E1B1A markers, B markers, etc. So with all that amalgam and mixing, and we know that, breeding was a thing and they get different African peoples to just, breed with each other. You can have, family members with different haplogroups. But let me actually visually explain why, because I don't want you to be confused by that statement. Because like I said, a distant cousin can have haplogroup A, or a distant cousin can have haplogroup R. I'm going to let you explain it, and then I'm going to pull up a chart that actually like visualize it for you.
Yeah, I mean, the terms I use all the time is vertical ancestry. So if you have E1B1A, your father is going to have E1B1A, grandfather's going to have E1B1A. His father's, unbroken line on the male side of things. They're all going to be E1B1A. That's a vertical relatedness. You're related to them vertically. Now, the ones with haplogroup A, you're related to them horizontally. That means maybe a sister or maybe an aunt married a male that had haplogroup A and had children with them in times past. That's all that means, that a foreign male haplogroup was absorbed into your family, or vice versa. Maybe you're the foreign male haplogroup that was absorbed in their family. So, yes, so that this is entirely possible. I'm pretty sure there are multiple, especially being African Americans and being hodgepodges the way we are. We have families that are probably more than just two male haplogroups that consist in that quote unquote family. Like he said, a cousin could be haplogroup A, and then you can have another cousin that's haplogroup R. Because again, families don't all descend from the same common ancestor. Families are formed through marriage. Families are formed through admixing. So that's pretty much why you would see these other haplogroups. And, speaking from a biblical side of things, when we say that we had a mixed population, this is very much what we expect to happen with the Israelites in the formation of the early state of Israel. You would have seen something similar, especially like in the book of Chronicles, it talks about Judah. He gave his daughter, he had no sons, he gave his daughter to his Egyptian servant. So he's related. Those children will be related to that Egyptian man horizontally, but they would not share this. The other tribes of Judah would not share the same haplogroup as the quote unquote Egyptian servant, but they related because he married into that tribe of Judah. So hopefully that made sense.
Yep, and just to visualize what Yeshub just said, let me switch over to this chart because this is a perfect chart that illustrates it. Move that over. All right. So actually, hold on, let me move this so y'all can see. All right. So as you can see right here, actually, let me make this bigger so everybody can really see. All right. So let's say that you have a white man. Let me actually zoom in. Let's say you have a white man with haplogroup R and a black woman with haplogroup L. When this white man gets with this black woman, they're going to have two mixed kids. This mixed boy is going to have haplogroup R, carrying it from his white father, and this mixed girl is going to have haplogroup L, carrying it from her black mother. Now let's go down another generation. This mixed boy gets with a black woman, and the mixed boy's kid is going to be 75% black, because he was already mixed. Then he gets with a mixed woman, then this kid is mostly black, but he's still going to carry haplogroup R from his grandpa. Now let's say that this mixed girl gets with a haplogroup E black man. Well, then that's how you can have family members with two different Y chromosomes, because when this 75% black man has a family, he's still going to be carrying the R marker. But this E marker was introduced into this family, and they're going to be carrying the E side from this man's family, from this man's paternal lineage. And that's how all the way down the line you can have people with haplogroup R and haplogroup E part of the same family, because it depends on if another man entered into that family, like what Yeshub said. And you can use this chart as well, Yeshub, if you want to explain it one more time, or if you feel like that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's an awesome illustration. Another good one is they actually plotted out King Tut's family and relations to the grandparents, and you can easily see it there because there's two male lines in that as well. It's haplogroup K and haplogroup R. They're related because they married into each other's families, but they don't directly descend from the same male ancestors. That's all we're saying. And that's what we see here.
Yep. So I'm going to back out of that. And let me go to the next comment. Let me just move all this out the way. So hopefully that answered your question. Curious about alleles as well. We'll peep the video. Yeah, I already shared the video. Okay. Shalom, Shari. And shalom, Anthony. Question. I think these are SNPs. So all that, I think those are SNP markers, if I remember correctly. Are those SNP markers? I think they are.
Those are STR markers.
STR markers, not SNP. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of something else. My bad. But does YAP positive mean Semitic? In our model, or at least in my model, I think we both have the same model when it comes to this. YAP positive would be Shem. We would see YAP positive as Shem, and only people with haplogroup DE, for some reason, they have YAP positive, whereas everybody else, that's not DE, is YAP negative. So it's a very particular genetic marker that makes us distinct, and we believe that that's Shem.
The Bible says a peculiar people.
Right.
Maybe that's a sign of that. We're just saying maybe that could be genetically, stamped in us that other people don't have. Maybe, DE, Japanese have it. Ainu have it.
Tibetans,
Andaman Islanders have it, and some sub-Saharan, a majority of sub-Saharan Africans have it. And through our model, we built the argument that, hey, that's Shem.
Yep. North Africans have it, East Africans, Greeks, Arabs, Jews, and various other peoples. So let's see. Thanks again for answering my question. No problem. And yeah, awesome. Good. Are Phoenician Moors haplogroup J? Are Phoenician Moors haplogroup J? That's a bit of a loaded question.
That's
So
real quick. That's an anachronism.
yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna have to break down that question. So Phoenicians, ancient Canaanite population from Sidon, modern day Lebanon. According to DNA tests, the Lebanese would be the one of the closest ethnic groups to the ancient Canaanites. One of them, because another paper came out showing that other people are as well. But so the Lebanese are one of the closest ethnic groups to the Canaanites, and the Lebanese would be Phoenicians, and a lot of them have J markers. So I would say that some Phoenicians would have haplogroup J, yes, but I would also say Phoenicians will have haplogroup E as well, because there's literally papers that say that as well. So they would be a mixture of J and E, and that's something you typically see. For some reason, a lot of E and J markers typically are together. Arabs have E and J, Jews have E and J, as examples. So there'll be a kind of a mixture. Moors, um, there's actually papers came out dealing with Moorish remains. We do find Moors with haplogroup E. We find Moors with haplogroup J, I believe, and R. I have to pull up the paper, but there are papers that deal with Moorish remains. We do find a lot of E though. Definitely can discount E. You do find E among the Moorish groups, which makes sense because a lot of Moors were basically Amazigh people, also known as Berbers, North Africans. So yeah, but other groups would have been among the Moors because Moor is kind of more of a cultural thing. So you would have had like different haplogroups, but to answer your question, Phoenicians, a mixture of E and J, Moors, a mixture of haplogroups as well. So, did you want to touch on that?
Yeah. I was just confused if they think Phoenicians and Moors are the same, because that's like different times. One's a common era people, the other's a before common era people. But other than that, you're right. We can surmise that J would have been a part of the Phoenicians and E would have been part of Phoenicians, just because we know the surrounding areas. I know they did study Phoenician DNA, but they were not able to sequence a haplogroup out of those remains because of the DNA damage. As far as the Moors, you're right. The E's would have introgressed into Africa. And you know what's interesting about that is the Moors, not Africa, into Europe. What's interesting about that is a lot of Europeans have that E marker from Northern Africa, which they would say as a result of Moors, and they have the European phenotype. They have light skin, thin noses, thin lips, and stuff of that nature. Um, that just shows. And then the descriptions we have of the Moors are what, like one of them in the 7th and 8th centuries talks about the armies. All you could see was that their faces were black as coal. But if you look at their progeny today, 1,000 years plus, they're white. So that lets you know also, you can use the Moors as an example that you can't really judge people solely on phenotype, because you have literal descendants of Moors in Europe today that look what you would call white European.
Yeah, even adding to that, a famous person with haplogroup E was Napoleon, and Napoleon had he was part of the subclade E-M 34, and it's actually believed that Napoleon could have descended from Saracens, and there's various sources on Saracens and paintings of Saracens being dark skinned. Let me just pull up that source really quick, if y'all don't mind. Give me a few seconds of your time. Pull up this about Napoleon. or I might have to pull up another time so I don't take up too much time. I'm gonna see if I can get this real quick.
Well, I can filibust while you get it.
Yeah. That'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, the Moors history, like I said, is very intriguing, especially for people that are color struck. Again, they're all yap markers. Well, majority were yap markers historically, and like I said, places like Spain, Portugal, where they had a lot of heavy influence, Andalus. Today, Europeans get their DNA tested, and then like, wait a minute, you have a North African genetic marker, and that's as a result of the Moorish invasion of Gibraltar in the 8th century. So it's very fascinating. So you see these people 1,000 years ago or 1,300 years ago would have been described as black. And that's what he's going to pull up the Saracens, which there are people that believe that the word Saracen actually means sons of Sarah, which would mean that these people would be considered Semitic. But like I said, it's just amazing to see that you have people today that can trace their ancestry in Spain and Portugal that have the E marker to that said event and said people known as the Moors, showing and proving that, hey, skin color has no bearing on your ancestry. You get it?
Still looking, but I might just go ahead and pass that up. But I'm going to just take a few more seconds.
Hold on, I think I know what you want.
Yeah, it's an article that talks about Napoleon having E-M34.
Oh, I thought you wanted the photo of the Saracens.
I mean, you can pull that up too, and then we can combine it with Napoleon. I just need to find this real quick. I think I got it somewhere right here. When you have so much information, it takes a while to find stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of medieval paintings of the Saracens, and they're depicted as black. And there's also medieval paintings of Jews and Saracens depicted as black. So that's also interesting as well.
Tell me when you're ready to share your screen.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead and let me share it. I mean, you guys just Google this. This is pretty much known knowledge.
If I can't find it, I'll just type in what I'm looking for because I can find the article as well.
You said Napoleon?
Yeah.
So you can go to EUpedia and look up famous people with Y chromosomes. It's going to be on there.
Right.
The E section,
yeah. Yeah, I know it's on that one. But dang. Yeah, let me just type this in. It'll be faster. Saracens.
Yeah, I got my screen ready. Whenever you're ready, I can show these people this.
Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah, it's up there.
Yep. So yeah, this is a depiction of the Saracens.
Napoleon Bonaparte. All right.
I forget where they're invading, but you can clearly see there's a distinction of who they're warring with is quote unquote the white phenotype, and the Moors at this time had the black phenotype or darker skin at least. And as we said, we know the markers that are associated with these people. There's actually a scientific article written on this. Let's see if I can take you to this real quick. While Eve
finally found it.
You did?
Yeah. So this is from The Guardian. Oops, let me move all these ads getting in the way.
Yeah, share your stream.
Yeah, let me control what you call it. Had to first find it.
Yeah, so you guys can look up this article, Moors and Saracens in Europe, estimating the medieval North African male legacy in Southern Europe. Read more about this.
All right, when you're ready, I'll pull it up.
You got it? Go ahead. You got it.
All right. So here it is. Let me see if it's pulled up. All right, yeah. So this is from the website, The Guardian. Let me move all these ads. This is from The Guardian. And it says, DNA project reveals Tom Coney's Napoleonic blood and rich roots of Scotland's genetic legacy. So I'm just gonna go to the part that deals with the Saracens. First, actually, yeah, I just deal with that part. So it says right here, according to Moffat, Koneke's DNA marker reveals his male lineage is Saracen in origin. His ancestors settled in Italy around the 10th century before one of them, uh, Giovanni Bonaparte, settled in Corsica and founded the family branch that produced Napoleon. And the 10th century was around the time period when Saracens and Moors were in southern Europe, and they were doing the Crusades and whatnot, and fighting each other. And so one of these Saracen families sort of settled in Italy, and they would have mixed with Italian women, and then they would have branched deeper into parts of Europe. And it's believed that his lineage, this E marker, and it says right here, all have a M34 marker, including Tom Konecki. He is clearly a close relative of Napoleon. It's believed that the Saracens may have had this M35 marker, and that he descends from them. And then you saw Yeshub's image of the Saracens being dark skinned. You can pull that up if you want. And that kind of ties everything together. Dark skinned men getting with light skinned women, producing today a lot of light skinned people with E markers.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the next one. Shalom, Elkim. Shalom, no problem. Awesome. Shalom. That was easy to understand. Great, good. Shalom. I am 26. It is said that it's the missing link to. I have not heard of I am 26. Have you heard of that?
No, I was reading that earlier. I was trying to figure out, is that a mutation on the E1B1A subclade? I don't know what that is. Is that a SNP? Don't know.
Yeah, send me information on that. So Canaanite/Phoenicians don't have. Yeah, I personally wouldn't say that the Canaanite Phoenicians had Ham's haplogroup A and B. I will do a video on the Canaanites in the future and break down, according to the remains we found, who the Canaanites would be, just from an archaeological standpoint. And I wouldn't say that there'll be Ham's A and B markers. There are people starting with the letter H.
Population replacement. I'll just say that.
Yeah, facts. I don't know if you brothers want to waste y'all's time, but I got $1,000 to shut Garfield 93. Is he saying for us to shut them down, or?
Man, this is what I gotta say to that brother Kersley. Shout out. I see you on the channel all the time, man. Yeah. But here's the thing. If we were to debate them, crush them completely embarrass them, they're going to go back on their channel and continue to do what they do. There is no shutting them down.
Right. And who would be the judges as well? Like, I don't really know about that. But then again, for $1,000, no, I'm playing.
I mean, we'll do it, but think about what you're asking. There is no shutting them down. They're going to come back and continue to use their ad hoc and post hoc arguments and their fallacies to say that we're false, we're fake, we're not the people. Blasey. I've offered $1,000 debates all the time on my channel. People do not want to take it. They don't want to debate, especially when they have to put up their money and I put up my money. So it's pretty much a dead horse at this point.
Yeah. All right. And shalom. Okay. Shalom, Ru, shalom, Sean. Everybody saying shalom to each other. I use 23. I am 26. They said that it was a missing link to E1B1A. What does that mean? Can you pull up a link? Can you put a link in the chat, and then maybe I can like read into it, see what that's about? Because my 23andMe still hasn't updated. Like a lot of people are getting things like Ebo and all that, and mine still hasn't updated yet. So I'm kind of disappointed, but but yeah. So is E1B1C haplogroup or nothing? Now, personally, on this channel, I have not gotten to the Israelites yet, and we're still breaking things down. We're still trying to get a basic understanding of the ancient Near East. Who could be Shem? Of course, as y'all know now, I believe that Haplogroup E is Shem. Haplogroup J would not be Shem by default. But we're working our way to the Israelites. So I'm not going to make any assertions as to what haplogroup the Israelites had, whether it's E1B1A or E1B1B or whatever. So I'm still building up to it. So I'm not going to say if E1B1C is Israelite or if it's Hebrew. I would just say that E is Semitic. It would be part of the Semitic family. It would be part of the lineage of Shem, despite whatever language they speak today. But yeah, so not going to really get too deep into that. Got to work our way to it. I can't just say things without proving things. So, but if not, could it be L? Yeah, I need a link or an article that can kind of, because I never heard of IM26. I gotta read on that. So let's see. What about Gog and Magog? What is their haplogroup? That's a great question. Personally, to me, and I technically should bring out I technically should make a presentation to explain my point without saying it without any evidence. But from what I have gathered, I believe that haplogroup R could be Magog. Now, Gog, I think I've read sources where Gog really isn't like a specific person. It's more like an entity or whatever. But I would kind of say that Gog would be haplogroup R. But I'll have to do a full presentation on that to prove my point. But that's what I would say personally. And I can give that question to you too, Yeshu, but I know you kind of don't connect people like that like I do. But
Yeah, I would just say, from my research understanding, it'll be a descendant of FM89 because it's Japhet.
right.
I don't know how to specify if we don't have anything to, go off of. You know what I mean? Like the ancient burial with a positive ID. I don't know how to do it that way. So I just know that it's a descendant of FM89 and I just leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
That's my approach.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Oh, he found the article. Nice. Okay. Well, it's from a thread though. Oh, I guess it'll be interesting still. Let me copy and paste that. Well, I gotta go.
Wait a minute. Is he saying that I'm confused. So is he saying he's haplogroup I? M26?
Let me see. Let me copy and paste this. I have to do it from the other chat. Let me. Wait, did you delete it, Elcam? I can't find it in the other chat, and I want to copy and paste that. Can you do that? You shoot like kind of, because I think you deleted it.
What do you need me to copy and paste that?
Yeah, that link. Yeah, because I can't find it. I went to the YouTube chat to try to find it because when I push the comments, I can't copy and paste anything. And I was gonna look on the.
I'll send it to you on Facebook.
But I do think that's an I lineage. I think that's what Elkim says later on in the chat. I'm gonna work my way to it really quick.
Check your Facebook.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Yeah, that's an I lineage. So what was the original question? I gotta go back up. If not, could all right. No, I gotta go back further. I use 23andMe. Wait, what? Okay, I cannot answer that question because I is that's a haplogroup. That I thought that was like a subclade of E or something, but no, that's a haplogroup.
Oh, he's haplogroup I. So, brother, the best thing
Yeah,
you should do is email us like what the actual 23andMe website has your paternal haplogroup, and then we can go from there.
yeah, take a screenshot and send it to us privately. You don't have to do it publicly if you don't want. But yeah,
You
because
got
I was
you want
reading
to
that, I was like, what? But
yeah
anyways,
you want to give me your email? It's the Hebrew of Israel, right? At
yep,
Gmail.
yeah, the Hebrew of Israel. Can you put it into the chat?
Yeah.
Or I guess I could just pull up my I'll just pull up my about on YouTube. And that will kind of explain it all.
Yeah, he doesn't have to screenshot like his name and stuff like that. Just screenshot what the actual paternal haplogroup was, and then send it to us, and then we can say, okay, we know what you're talking about.
Push this if you want to email me. Push that. So let's get to the next question. It seems most Philistines, Canaanites, and Hurrians are Jays. It were to seem like Canaanites are sometimes referred to as citizens of the area more than a bloodline at certain times. Ooh, fascinating. I'm glad you said that. And I wonder if I should get into that. I would just say you're on the right track. I have a very similar model. You're on the right track. I like that. Um, I actually will explain some things right now. When it comes to like biblical archaeologists and even just secular archaeologists, the term Canaanite is really just a general term for anybody that lived in the land of Canaan. Like sometimes even Israelites are considered Canaanites, but that's because they just lived in the Levant. They lived in the Canaanite region. So you're actually kind of on point with that. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like what you said. It's just a term that was pretty much associated with people in the vicinity. It's
Mm-hmm.
like us being called American today. You know, it's not saying or denoting that we descend from Amerigo Vespucci directly. It's just a term of the land that we're in and we're citizens of. So that's a great way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the answers. No problem. Correct. Haplogroup I is seen in Sardinians and also Germanic. And actually, I might as well introduce you to this playlist. So if you're interested in Haplogroup I have a video series where I talk about Haplogroup I. Check out Haplogroup J, Academic and Biblical Origins. Go down to this part right here, the origins of Haplogroup I, J, and I. This video specifically deals with a good portion of I. And also, I have a playlist where I'm going to add more videos to it detailing Haplogroup I right here. I'll go ahead and just push it. And it says the migration of I haplogroup, and it's just a short one, 6-minute video. I would play it if it was like 2 minutes, but that's 6 minutes is a bit too long. But for me to play right now. But just check out those 2 videos, and it will kind of break down haplogroup I. And if you want, I also have a video titled Germanics. I should make one about Nordics too. But Germanic peoples and Nordics typically have haplogroup I. So if you want to know about that culture and people, check that out. But yeah. So let's go to the next. Well, since there's a lot of people here, I see 33 people watching. I'm just gonna go ahead and quickly recap this real quick. So I just ended a video series titled the academic and biblical origins of Haplogroup J. Check out this playlist for all the videos detailing that. And at the end of every series, I make a playlist that touches on specific details from my videos. So I have videos from Haplogroup J, Caucasus hunter gatherers, Yamnaya culture, Proto Indo-Europeans, the Proto Indo-European origins of Anatolians, and the Armenian origins of Proto-Indo-Europeans, Haplogroup I, Indo-Europeans, Japheth, Togarma, Anatolians, and Germanics. I feel like it's good that y'all watch more videos detailing these specific people groups and haplogroups and origins of peoples, not just from my channel, but from other people's channels that bring out a lot of great information as well. And I also ended another series titled Haplogroup E versus J, who is Proto-Semitic. So check out this playlist for all the videos dealing with it. And I also updated my playlist with the Hittites, the Mitanni, and the Kassites. More videos from other people that basically deal with the ancient Near Eastern civilizations. I feel like it's important that we understand who lived in the Near East. It wasn't just Semitic people, like many of us would assume. There was most definitely other ethnic groups living in the ancient Middle East. And these videos sort of detail that, as well as other things. So check them out. And I have other playlists as well down below that basically do the same thing. At the end of every series, I have a new playlist. But so I'm just gonna leave that on screen while I get some more questions. So let's see. Let me bring y'all here. The Moors are equally interesting as the Muslims in Europe. What is the difference? Many people say that they are two people. I've heard they are the same. Yeah, so there are different types of Moors. You have Moors that are Arabs, you have Moors that are Amazigh, and you have Moors that are even sub-Saharan Africans. So you have various different types of Moorish people. Did you want to tackle that?
I mean, it's just the same thing I would have said. I mean, it's a variation of people. So when you say Muslims of Europe, I mean, Muslims of Europe today could be various haplogroups and various different groups of peoples. But I see what you're saying because Moors did introduce, Islam or a sect of Islam into Europe in times past. But when we're talking about ancestral purity, people today that's in Europe that could be Muslims could, very well not be descended from that initial group that came in 7th, 8th century into Spain, Andalus, carrying e-markers. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I look at it.
Yep. Okay. All right. Elcom. Thanks. Why is there none or little even building found during the biblical period? It is because they. Yeah. So I'm not gonna get into E1B1A tonight. In the future, though, I will do videos detailing and talking about E1B1A as well as talking about Israelites and talking about the biblical period. Um, I'm trying to take my time and slowly work up to those topics. But right now, for the most part, right now we're still dealing with Haplogroup E and J, and my next video series is still going to be detailing Haplogroup J. But don't worry, when I'm done with discussing Haplogroup J, I will get to the Israelites. But until then, I can't really go too deep into it. But the most I can say is that we do find haplogroup E1B1A outside of Africa in the Middle East. But that's all I'll say for now. I know a lot of people in my comment section for many videos are always bringing up E1B1A and that it's not found in the Middle East, but actually we have found it there in the Middle East in ancient times. So, but I'll bring that up some other time. So let's see. E-M85. I never heard of E-M85. I've seen in some Bantu people's having. I've never heard of E-M85. That's weird. I've heard of E-M81, which is Amazigh, Afro-Asiatic, but I never heard of E-M85. Have you?
I know, I think 75, but I'm checking the DNA pedigree right now. Let's see.
Yeah, there's 75 as well. E-M75. I've heard of E-M81, but no E-M85. I've never heard of E-M85.
So 85 comes from M75, which comes from E2. It's the E2 branch.
Oh, it's E2. So that's going to be seen in like the Dogon people and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're
Okay.
E1. That's E2. I'm E1. So that's a different branch of Yat. So I
Right.
think they will be Shim because they come from D.
Yeah. If it's a Yap marker, it's Shim. Yeah, and that's my email for the person that wanted to know. Oh, that's my email. Shalom to you as well. It makes no sense to debate these cats, correct? It would be better that we do. Yeah, I agree. I feel like debating's kind of I'm not really in the mood for debating. And plus I'm still in school, so I don't even have time for it. Like if I were to do debates, it would have to be in the summertime. But also I kind of don't see the point in debating unless there's good judges and unless people are like going to learn from it. But I feel like it just becomes more of a screaming match, and then sometimes people don't bring evidence, and then they just want to cross-examine your evidence without them bringing it. It just gets all weird and stuff. And yeah, so I agree. I don't really care about debating yet. Maybe in the long future, but for now, it's like I just want to focus on my own thing and do my own thing. Keep reading articles, keep reading books, watch a couple of videos that deal with different ethnic groups. But yeah. What about you, shoot? Well, I guess everybody knows your feelings. You don't really care about it either.
Yeah, I have no qualms about debating. I will debate somebody, it's just that they're not going to. And I'm not going to spend majority of my time chasing said individuals to debate when I could be building and reading and researching and providing new content to you guys. So it's like you're chasing your tail at that point, especially. I'm gonna tell you the truth. These people that y'all watch on YouTube, a lot of these guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm just gonna say it when it comes to these topics. So the last thing they want to do is get in the ring with someone like Ivry and get completely demolished on the information. And that's pretty much it on that. That's why you don't see us debating every other week or debating everyone who claims that they're about the smoke and they want to be in the ring, because we've pretty much reached out to everybody who make those claims and assertions, and they do not want to come in the ring. It never comes to fruition because they do not want to debate. And that's
Yeah.
my stance on it.
Right. And with that being said, though, I guess I should make this caveat. Somebody did want to debate me in my comment section. It's a person with Hebrew letters. I think I will be debating them, but I keep on telling them I got to do it like after 9 o'clock, when the house is a bit quieter. But he refuses to do it at 9, so I'm like, okay. But not, like that's the only debate you might see me in recently. I'm going to try to do it this week sometime, and it's going to be on your Shoot's channel. But other than that, I really don't care about debates. That person wanted to debate me, and so I just went ahead and agreed to it. But other than that, I kind of useless thing to do, especially when you have homework. um, what's the most diverse haplogroups, and do blood types connect to haplogroups in any way? Also, what blood types are not connected to haplogroups, and what is the most diverse haplogroup? Haplogroup R is seen in a lot of places. Like it's seen in Africa, it's seen in all of Eurasia, it's seen in Europe, and it's seen in the Americas. I feel like haplogroup R would be the most diverse haplogroup in the world. Either that or maybe Q, because those are really large haplogroups. Let me actually pull up a map of haplogroup R just to show you how massive this haplogroup is. And it's also part of the reason why I kind of believe it's Magog, but let me just show you a map. You can let me get the next. Let me read that. I think I had another question part of it. It said also, what are the most least diverse haplogroups? The most least diverse haplogroup might be T. It's not seen. It's not very large in the world. It's a very small. Well, actually, no. Maybe K. K is not seen in very many places in the world. It's very, very small. I think it's smaller than T. Then again, P could be smaller too. That's a good question. Maybe K and like P and stuff like that will be very, very small. Like you don't see it among that many people. And then the most diverse would be R. But you can take on that question too, you should, but it's like a 3-part question.
Yeah. So, what is the most diverse haplogroup? I just know, like you said, Haplogroup R is a good candidate for that because FM89 outside of Africa is 90% of the Earth's populations. 90% are FM89 lineages. So, and R makes a lot of sense because what happened recently, they pretty much, dominated America. So they have a large presence in America, a large presence in Europe. They're pretty much everywhere. They're in Africa. So
Everywhere.
yeah, that's a good haplogroup to say. Pretty much, probably the most diverse.
Yep. It'll have to be Haplogroup R, and the second one I would choose. Here's another good map, and that's just dealing with the old world, Eurasia. The second best choice would be probably Haplogroup Q, which is seen in Native America. Well, I guess a lot of them are dead, so I guess it wouldn't really count. But in the past, a lot of Native Americans, had Haplogroup Q, and it's seen both in Eurasia and the Americas. That'll be like my second best bet, but that would have been before they kind of got wiped out. But anyways, so let's go to the next question. My 23andMe. Yeah. Everybody's 23andMe is updating except for mine. I'm like, that go. Oh well. So wait, did yours update, your shoe?
I think so. I
Dang.
think so. I think it said something about it updating or something like that.
Oh well, I guess I'll see you next month. Yeah, don't forget to smash that like button if y'all don't mind. Amazic claimed to be white. Well, I actually talked to a lot of North Africans on Clubhouse, and you do find some that claim to be white. A lot of I'll just go ahead and say a lot of ignorant ones, because I don't consider them to be white unless they have certain haplogroups and the phenotype connected to the haplogroup. But a lot of them I kind of classify them as like brown people. But yeah, there are Amazigh though that do claim to be black or do claim to be brown, and they hate the term being white. So I would say that it's diverse opinions on the Amazigh. Some will say that they're white, some will say that they're brown, some will say that they're black, and then others just call themselves Amazigh. My brother Amazigh, they better not be claiming that they're white. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. But yeah, Amazigh, they come in diverse phenotypes. I kind of consider Tuaregs to be Amazigh, and they're mostly like they look sub-Saharan African. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, socially, whatever they consider themselves, brown, black, white. I just know one thing that a considerable amount of them are Yaps. So they family. You know what I'm saying? We share the same paternal ancestors. They family, and I think Africa will be in a better state if more people looked at it from that standpoint, instead of a skin affiliation, religious affiliation, and all the rest of the affiliations. If we looked at it from that point, we could do some things in Africa, man. Shout out to Amazigh.
Right, Amazigh, Afro-Asiatic people. Let's go. Genetic bottleneck. I guess that was from something I said earlier. But let's see. How do you separate those who have a haplogroup the same as the Israelites, but were not from the line of Jacob? Uncles. Yeah, I can't get to the Israelites yet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everybody that has questions on the Israelites, but I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be unbiased. So I can't get to the Israelites yet because I haven't touched on the Israelites yet. I can answer questions from past videos that I've done, like Haplogroup E versus J, or Haplogroup J, or Haplogroup I, or Haplogroup E, stuff like that. But since I haven't got to the Israelites yet, everything's up in the air. The Israelites could be E1B1B, they could be E1B1A, they could be a mixture of people. It's everything's in the air because I haven't got to them yet. So I'm sorry, but I can't answer that question as of yet. Gotta be neutral. So they would be Haplogroup E, but not E1B1A. I don't know who they is. So I'm gonna have to. Can you please clarify that question, and then I'll return back to it. How is E Shem when E is already in Israel? Abraham wasn't indigenous. That's a great question, and I will answer it when I come back in a few seconds because I actually got to take care of something. Yeshub, you can answer it, or you can wait for me to answer it first, and then I'll come back to you. But I gotta quickly do something because it's important. Give me a
Got
second.
it. Yeah, I'll filibuster till you get back. I just want to say something about that Abraham comment. Abraham wasn't indigenous. Okay, Abraham wasn't indigenous to the Levant. You mean or Israel? But here's the thing: our lineage don't start with Abraham. It starts with Shem, and what we teach is that Shem would have been dispersed all over the Middle East. His children would have dispersed all over the Middle East. The dispersals events happened after the flood. Japhite children would have dispersed, and we know the first people to disperse after the flood into Europe would have been Japhites. We know their lineages, the FM89 lineages and the C lineages. C and F are CF brothers. Same thing we teach about DE. DE would have been dispersed in the Middle East. Klyasov even denotes haplogroup DE as being a Middle Eastern haplogroup. So also Northern Africa would have been Shem's territory too. And when I say Northern Africa, I mean past Libya, past going towards Carthage, modern day Tunis, and stuff of that nature would have also encompassed Shem's territory too. So I find it interesting that people always bring up Abraham. Abraham wasn't indigenous. Abraham wasn't indigenous, but our lineage doesn't start with Abraham. It starts with Shem. And those lands have always been known as Shemite lands. Then when you look at the Natufians not only were in the Levant, they were in the Negev, they were in Syria. They trekked all the way through the Euphrates. So you can make the
All right,
argument.
I'm back, but you
Same
can keep going.
Yeah, I'm just explaining. I didn't even dig into what he said about how's Shem. I'm just letting him know that our lineage doesn't begin with Abraham. So I was just breaking that down to him. You got it.
All right. But you can finish if you wasn't done.
I was just, bringing out the Natufians and where they trekked. They trekked along the Euphrates River, just like in the Fertile Crescent, just like the narrative says about Abraham. So Shem has been in the Middle East, and I just brought out Klyasov designating haplogroup DE as a Middle Eastern haplogroup initially. So I just wanted him to know that. The brother Sir Suave. You got it, brother.
All right. So that's a great question. How is E Shem when E was already in Israel? Abraham wasn't indigenous. So yeah, we don't descend from Abraham. Semites don't descend from Abraham. Semites descend from Shem. So Shem could have been in Israel, whereas Abraham could have been, let's say, in Mesopotamia. Now, when it comes to that question, I actually did deal with that very topic in this video series titled From Shem to Eber to Abraham. And right here, I say Shem and Eber in the future promised land. I do believe that Shem and Eber first settled the Levant before they settled the Levant before foreign groups came in. And this whole video series details that. Now, why do I believe that? Well, the reason why I believe this is because when it comes to the Bayesian phylogenetic analysis, Semites originated in the Levant. Let me pull that up. Well, first of all, if Semites descend from Natufians were in the Levant. That's one thing that we should understand. Let me just quickly read that quote. Let me see if y'all can see that. All right, so this is from In Hot Pursuit of Language and Prehistory. This paper makes an additional inference since there is archaeological and physical anthropological reason to believe that the Natufians were related to modern Semitic-speaking peoples of the Levant. So Semites actually have a Levantine origin. This is the Bayesian phylogenetic analysis of Semitic languages identifies an early Bronze Age origin of Semitic in the Near East. And this is the latest paper dealing with the origin of Semites. And it says, we estimate that Semitic had an early Bronze Age origin, Bronze Age origin 5750 or 5750 years ago in the Levant, followed by an expansion of Akkadian into Mesopotamia. So Semites, Proto-Semites were first in the Levant, and then they expanded from the Levant into Mesopotamia. This is exactly what, by the way, if Semites descend from Natufians, then Semites will have haplogroup E. This paper, Paleolithic DNA from the Caucasus, reveals core of West Eurasian ancestry, and it reads, such a scenario would also explain the presence of Y chromosome haplogroup E in Natufians and Levantine farmers, a common link between the Levant and Africa. And this is from EUpedia, haplogroup E and B, and it reads, E-M34 is the main Middle Eastern variety of E1B1B and is thought to have arrived with the Proto-Semitic people in the late Copper to early Bronze Age. And as I read earlier from this paper, remember, it says, we estimate that Semitic had an early Bronze Age origin 5,750 years ago in the Levant, followed by an expansion of Akkadian into Mesopotamia, and it's believed that Akkadians could have had haplogroup E. It says, this is from the paper How Eurasia Was Born, the most plausible candidates for Semitic remigration to the Fertile Crescent with TMRCAs fitting the arrival of the Akkadians and other early Semitic peoples are certain subclades of both E-V22 and E-V12, with relatively early TMRCAs present in the Middle East, could be candidates for such remigration, such as E-FGC 14382 TMRCAs 2200 BCE and E-V3262 TMRCAs 2600 BCE. Now, I'm going to stop right there because there's various videos you can look at the origins of Proto-Semites, and they all have the origins of Proto-Semites in the Levant. I believe, Proto-Semites would be the early descendants of Shem. So I'm going to quickly pull up a video that shows this, dealing with the migration of early Semitic people starting from the Levant into Mesopotamia. Let me pull that up right here. There's many videos that have already detailed this, and this is actually in my playlist that I have. Let me pull that up. This playlist right here. And it's acting a bit slow. So if you go to my playlist, I have a video playlist dealing with Semitic. So if you skip down here to Semitic languages, here's a video that details the history of Semitic languages. I'm not going to play the whole video, even though it's 2 minutes, pretty short. But all I'm going to play is the first few seconds because
when I was a student,
we're not going to look at the whole history. So here is a great video detailing it. I don't know if this music is copyright, so I'm just going to have it be very low. I don't want to get in trouble. Zoom in. And let me make it bigger for everybody to see. And so this would detail Proto-Semites expanding from the Levant into Mesopotamia and into Arabia. Proto-Semites first appeared from there. So you can see 4000 BCE, Proto-Semites were in the Levant, and then they began to expand northwards and southwards, northwards into Mesopotamia and southwards into Arabia. And this is where the homeland of Natufians would have been, and early haplogroup E markers. And I believe that Abraham's ancestors could have been part of that migration of Semites into Mesopotamia from the Levant. So I agree, Abraham wasn't from the Levant, but his ancestors could have been from the Levant. And Abraham's ancestors were part of that migration from the Levant into Mesopotamia. Because all the best evidence points to Semites being originating from Natufians and from the Levantine corridor. And so we'll stop right there. And Abraham could have been anywhere in this general area of, let me go back a little bit. Abraham could have been anywhere in this general area of where Semites were. I don't think he was an Akkadian, but I do think he could have been a Northwest Semitic person. But we will end right there with that. But is there anything you wanted to add to Shoop?
No, I mean, that was a perfect example and explanation and demonstration there. I just, I still find it weird that people start with Abraham, where Abraham's not the beginning of the Shemites.
Nope.
So,
and all the best evidence points to the Levant being the origin of Semites. The Levant is where we find the oldest Semitic scripts. The Levant is where we see, Afro-Asiatic people. There is no evidence of Semites or Semitic languages originating in the Caucasus or any other part of the Middle East, Mesopotamia, Anatolia, Iran. No linguist would say Semites originated from those places. They all say Semites either originated from Africa or from the Levant. So if you want to put Semites' origins in West Asia, the best you have is the Levant. Nowhere else. Although I will say that there is an Arabian origin of Semites. There is a Saudi Arabian origin of Semites. There is that. And there would still be E markers because J didn't enter the Levant until like the Bronze Age, as people love pointing out in my comment section. So let me get to the next question. But some people were even born before Abraham and their descendants were. Yeah, I can't get into the Israelites yet. Dang, I really want to. Who want to debate you? This person with the Hebrew letters, their name, I'm just gonna call them Dan. I'm not gonna give the whole name. I'm gonna call them Dan because that's part of their name. But yeah, that person wants to debate me. You can actually see it. I might as well pull up the comments. I might as well pull it up. So I think if you go to my latest video, you'll see the thread because this person's like really mad at me. I think it's from, let's see, I think it's from this video, phenotype, maybe. Wait, no. Maybe it's from this video. I think it's from this one. Unless he deleted it. I don't know. I can't remember. Can't remember where. Let's see. It might be this video. No. Well, actually, no. Let me see. Might be this one. I want to really try to find the correct one. And then I'll get back to you guys' questions. My bad for stopping. All right, this is the last one I'm going to push, and then I'm just going to pull up the person's account because I can't find it. Yeah, let me just pull up their account because I cannot find this. It's probably going to be in this video right here. I know they comment a lot in this one. So, yeah. So here's the person that wants to debate me. This is their account or whatever. So that's the person I was referring to. And I said after 9 o'clock, but they don't want to. And I'm just like, well, 9 o'clock for them is like 10 o'clock for 9 o'clock for me. Excuse me, it's 10 o'clock for them, and they say they can't do it, and I'm just like, oh man, come on. I don't know. I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out. But that's when I'm free, so I don't know.
What about the weekend?
Definitely not free on the weekend. That's family time actually, and that's studying time. I might have to try in the daytime. I'm just gonna do that. I might just go ahead and try to do it in the day. All right. Get to the next question. Are some individuals partially not human? Wait, not human. Dudes in it. No, everybody's human. Every modern person you see today is a human.
I'm
There's,
sorry.
there's, there's no such thing as a non-human. Every human being you see today is a human.
Yeah. Try not to, adopt some of that language because that is very demeaning, and not true as well.
Yeah, semi racist. So let's see. Well, I guess it's not racist if they don't think they're human, right? Oh, I don't know. But it's
Oh
just
man.
inaccurate. E1B1B is diverse. Yeah, it's very diverse. E1B1B and E1B1A, both very diverse. Yeah, got it. Thanks. Yeah, E1B1A is it's in Europe, Africa, Asia. Yeah, America. You know, you guys. So thank you. Appreciate that. I don't have to update it. Yeah, you're not the. Oh, okay. Interesting. Amazigh are light. Like I said, Amazigh will range in various skin tones. Some will be light, some be dark. It depends on their mom, dad, clan, even. Yeah, some of them have. Well, actually, good good chunk of them have U6, but also some have L as well. Can't leave that out. That have some L among them as well. But yeah, the white Amazigh just like blacks, and they look white. They also claim Egypt is theirs. Yeah, so yeah, you can definitely find white Amazigh that don't like black people. That's definitely true. You find racist folks in pretty much all groups. And Amazigh claiming to be that's interesting. I've never really heard of Amazigh claim Egypt. A lot of them are super proud of being Amazigh, and they don't really care about any other culture. But that's interesting. I haven't heard of them claiming Egypt, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Uh, did you want to touch on that, or even the previous one right here? I forgot to
Oh
show.
yeah, U6 been in North Africa for a long time, about 15,000 years. I mean, but light skin came later, so I don't know. I don't know about that one, man. Maybe we have to wait on some more research on that. If that's how they got the light skin alleles, because from my understanding, we didn't start seeing light skin alleles until about 8,000 years ago.
Caucus hunter gatherers.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have brought in light skin. Now, depending on time period and depending on migration, yes, because I do think light skin got into North Africa from various waves of Eurasian peoples, various migrations. But but saying it specifically U6, I think that'll be way too simple. It's a little bit more complex. It would have been from just different time periods, different Eurasian peoples bringing in lighter skin, alleles and stuff. Uh, did you want to take on that?
The white Amazigh dislike blacks and they look white. They also claim Egypt is theirs. Okay, we got African Americans that dislike us and have different ideological and racist things to say about us. Um, my point is, we're still related to them, and we focus on those that are willing to build with us. Um, they also claim Egypt is theirs. I don't know anything about that, so I can't even comment on that. But on those that are racist, I avoid those. People. If you're racist, I don't have a common ground with you. There's nothing we can build on, especially if you're dealing with color and stuff of that nature. But those Amazigh that are willing to, have the conversation, willing to build, I'm all arms for them. And, most importantly, their paternal markers, their paternal markers. There's a lot of yap amongst those people. So I speak towards that. People are going to hate you from all walks of life. So there's nothing we can do about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Abraham back migrated. Basically, yeah, if Semites originated from the Levant, and if Semites originated from the Levant, like all the papers say, and that migration video that I showed you, and there's plenty of other migration videos you can watch. Basically, yes, Abraham will be a back migration, and I find that to be very fascinating because really, when you think about it, if Abraham is back migrating, if he's descending from Semites that originally left the Levant, went to Mesopotamia, and then he's coming back to the Levant. Really, when you think about it, Abraham is reclaiming his ancestral homeland, the homeland of Semites. And therefore, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the Israelites aren't really stealing land from the Canaanites. They're more so reclaiming their lost ancestral homeland. And I think that's a better argument than saying the Israelites are stealing the land of the Canaanites. No, the Canaanites stole it. And the Semites, the Israelites, are coming back to reclaim it. That's how I interpret things. Did you want to touch on that comment?
Yeah, there's a tradition in early Jewish writing. Is it the Jubilees? I can't remember which book. So
Either
apologize.
Jubilees or the Mishnah. It's one of the two.
Yeah, it says exactly what you just said, where that was always thought to be Shem's land. The Canaanites pretty much swatted on that land.
Well, I think it is Jubilees. Yeah, it says that the Canaanites stole the land of Canaan. Yeah.
Yeah. So from that perspective, from that Jewish tradition, I mean, I completely agree. Because again, Middle Eastern lands would have been initially Shem. And if you look at the dispersals and Josephus, you can clearly see that Shem would have been plotted in all over, not just the Levant, all over the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and stuff of that nature, and even parts of North Africa.
Right. What we have to remember is that the Levant technically is part of Shem's territory. That is part of Shem's territory. And what's interesting about the Natufian culture, like their area of influence and where they were, is that it perfectly fits with the Promised Land map. I was looking at it and I was like, man, that's so interesting. Let me show you all this. So here's a map of the Natufian, the area of Natufian culture, and here's a map of the Promised Land. And it's like, wow, how much it overlaps is fascinating. Let me remove your comment so everyone can see. I was like, dang, there's something there about that. And let me just show you another map. Here's the more conservative map of the Natufian culture, and it perfectly matches with the kingdoms of David and Solomon. So it's like that's interesting. It's like they're doing the same thing that their ancestors did in a way.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna back out of that. So
that's the power in looking into DNA, archaeology, anthropology, and triangulating the arguments instead of just having a very one-sided or what's the word? A very one-angle argument. It's good to look at all studies, because when you look at all studies, you can see that there's pretty much a huge imprint in that area that points to our ancestors.
Yep. This is from Second Exodus. Shalom, Second Exodus. Can't speak right now. I'm trying to drink my coffee. Are you aware? Wait, no, not aware. Are you all aware of the study done by Dr. Taser on the mitochondrial L3? I wouldn't be surprised that Sephardic Jews have L3, because I've talked about Sephardic Jews having L2, because I believe that could be Azurad, but L3, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I think there actually are papers that talk about Jews having L3. There are Arabs, that have L3. So if Jews have L2, then they're bound to have L3, because that was also found in the ancient Middle East. Specifically that scientist, and specifically that subclade, and specifically that ethnic group of Jews, I haven't researched that, but I know Jews in general. You can find them with L3 markers, because we definitely find them with L2 markers. You want to touch on that, Yeshub?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular study, and Dr. Hakem Yohanathan, I'm not familiar with him. But I do know that makes sense because L3 has an ancient presence in the Near East. So to see modern Jewish groups have that mtDNA is not surprising.
Facts, facts. Someone says interesting. And Phoenician language is Semitic, but the people are Hamites. Yeah, so yeah, when it comes to terms like, all right, so the ancient Levant is complex. The Phoenicians, yes, they spoke a Semitic language. Um, but calling them Hamites might be an oversimplification, I would say. Again, that land, the land of the Levant had Semitic people, but it also had non-Semitic people. And a lot of the non-Semitic people adopted the Semitic language. So we'll touch more on that in the future. Well, actually, I recently touched on that. Haplogroup J adopting Semitic languages from Haplogroup E. But but yeah, we'll check out my Haplogroup E versus J video. But um, it's an oversimplification to say that that the Phoenicians were Hamites, because there's a lot
And,
of people living there.
and if I might add, this is very simple. Um, we speak English. English ultimately derives from Proto-Indo-European, but we are not descendants of the originators or the people that first spoke Proto-Indo-European. So just keep that in mind. Just because a group speaks a certain language or absorbs or adopts a certain language does not mean they come from the individuals that brought that language into the planet. So just keep that in mind.
Facts, actually. Let me pull up a map that actually literally deals with what you said, because that I've been meaning to do this. Because a lot of people say, haplogroup J is high among Semitic speaking peoples, so therefore they're Semitic. But it's like, okay, so if you look at a map of Indo-European speaking peoples, you'll see it pretty much all over the world, but that doesn't mean they're all ethnically and genetically Indo-European. So here's a map of a list of Indo-European languages. So is all of sub-Saharan Africa like Indo-European, No. They speak the language. They adopted the language. People in Australia, people in America. Um, so that's one thing you have to keep in mind is folks adopt languages. People have always been adopting languages. But doesn't mean that they're the originators of it. I speak English. That doesn't make me an Englishman. That doesn't mean my people created the English language. So that's just another example of that. Did you want to add anything to that, or?
I mean, that's pretty much perfect. It's on point. It's just simple. Like we speak PIE, but we don't descend from the original group of people that spread PIE. It's just that simple.
Yep. Respectfully, 3 subs and no context. He isn't really a boss. I don't know if he's talking. If Elkim's responding to somebody, but anyways, hey, shoot. Oh yeah, that's for you. You shoot.
Yeah. He's talking about the video addressing Tail them boys. He said, "Hey, I shoot. I'm still laughing at your video when you was saying most of certain Israelite channel followers are more than likely haplogroup E. It's hilarious because it's true. Yeah, I mean, these, if I could speak to it real quick, these people that have an issue with us teaching DNA or going into DNA and teaching about haplogroup E do realize, majority of your audience, if it's African American, majority of them most likely haplogroup E. So I'll just point that out. So I found that ironic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's all good, Shari. School's important. I just got out of class before I started this live stream, so I fully understand. I don't get it. J1 and J2 look. Wait, no, my bad. J1 and J2 people look similar. So how come E1B1A and E1B1B look so different? And how come E1A people have present any? All right, so that's sort of like a 3-part question. I'll break it up. So J1 and J2 people look similar. Kind of. Kind of yes, but kind of no. Because you can find J people with dark skin, and you can find J people with light skin. Now, in its origin, sure, J could have been lighter than it is today. Like a lot of people, a lot of the early J markers could have looked Caucasian. Sure, I'll give you that. But technically, you can find dark skinned people with haplogroup J. I think I mentioned this before. If I haven't, I'm doing it now. But you can find dark skinned people with J and light skinned people with J. Same thing with E1B1A and E1B1B. You can find dark skinned people with E1B1B, and you can find light skinned people with E1B1B. You can find dark skinned people with E1B1A, and you can find light skinned people with E1B1A. I think a great example of a light skinned person with E1B1A is an Ashkenazi with Lithuanian Jew that I met on Clubhouse. He has E1B1A, and all of his, of course, male relatives. They all look like typical Ashkenazic people. So, so your question is, why do people? Basically, I'm assuming your question is why do people look different? And the best way to explain that is, what women are you mixing with? For instance, Greek people, a lot of them have E-V13, but a lot of Amazigh people have E-M81. So dealing with the Greeks, when the E-V13 Greek men, oh, I guess they're not Greek yet, but when the E-V13 men went into Greece, they would have mixed with Mediterranean Greek-looking women. And so phenotypically, they're going to look like the Greek population. Same thing with the Amazigh. I believe you brought out that a lot of the Amazigh have haplogroup U, which is a Eurasian haplogroup. But a lot of E1B1A men married a lot of L0 women and L1 women and L2 women, and they typically are darker. So depending on the women you mix with will influence your phenotype. Like if we send a bunch of E1B1A men to China, and 1,000 years later, they're going to look Chinese. You're going to have one branch of E1B1A men looking Chinese, and another branch of E1B1A men looking like, West Africans or whatever. So it depends on the women you mix with. That's why folks look different. Did you want to tackle that?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed it up pretty good. Again, like it all depends on the type of women that these male populations are adopting and absorbing and marrying. And so their children are going to look like that. If you yourself, brother, Sir Suave, I'm assuming you're African American male. I'm assuming, I don't know. But if you are African American male, if you went to China, you married East Asian woman, your children are going to pick up those phenotypes. You're going to pick up those alleles. You're going to have the epicantic eye fold that you guys know Chinese people to have. They're going to pick up a lighter skin complexion because they too have SLC2485. Your children are going to pick up those alleles, and then they keep marrying into the Asian gene pool. They're going to continue to create children that look more and more like the East Asians. This is the same thing happened with the E family going into Europe. It makes it with these people. Now you see a lot of J concentrated in the Caucasus. Like, oh, those people look similar. Well, a lot of times what homogeneity tells you is there's a least amount of diversity going on there. The more homogeneous the population is, the more incestuous the population is, because they don't have enough diverse genetic material that's being interchanged between them, and they only marry in a small knit group, which is actually bad. It's not a good thing. You want the population to be vibrant and diverse. And when we look at the Bible, it's actually a good thing that we're a mixed population because of that. So, but as far as your comments of them looking similar, just like the brother said, they all really don't look similar. Matter of fact, you have a lot of J markers that made their way in Africa, and some of them look downright sub-Saharan African. And the brother brought out J2A and or J2 markers in Greece. Some of those Greeks are brown skin that have J2. Some of those Greeks very well have E markers, E1, B1B. So again, it just depends on what type of alleles and admixture is going on and where they're picking up these phenotypes from.
Right. And as for the last part of your comments, and how come E1B1A people haven't I think you said preserved any Eurasian and Neolithic Levantine ancestry? Well, actually, they do have a little bit of Eurasian and Neolithic Levantine ancestry, E1B1A people. And I covered this in past video, but so I would say that they have preserved a little bit, but the reason why you see it less so is because they mixed with a lot of Paleo Africans and basically Paleo Africans. So that would have diluted the Eurasian and Neolithic Levantine DNA that they had. But let me show you the video where I actually do touch on that. Let me first pull it up.
Well, while you're getting that, if I may add, if you do your ancestry composition, you can actually see this in your ancestry composition. You see small percentages of like East Asia or stuff of that nature. The smaller the percentage is pretty much telling you that this admixture may have happened a long time ago. So when the Igbo takes a test and it has 1.8% Middle Eastern, that could have happened. That could have been a reflection of what happened 2,000 years ago.
Yep. And so there's a paper. Let me pull this down so you can see. So there's a paper titled Massive Eurasian Migration into Africa associated with the spread of haplogroup DE and its subclade E. So the paper is right here. Ancient admixture into Africa from the ancestors of non-Africans. And it reads, a new study concluded that there was a massive migration of non-African Eurasians back into Africa about 7,000 years ago, spreading the Eurasian haplogroups such as E and its parent clade DE within Africa before additional waves of Eurasian admixture. Modern Africans thus are descendant of Paleo-Africans and Afro-Sans, which merged in Africa between 70,000 and 40,000 years ago. And it says over here, this is a chart from this paper, and it says the proposed admixtures from ancestors of present-day non-Africans is indicated in green. So we see that there was a Eurasian gene flow into people who would have E1B1A. And here is West African right here, and here is East African. And I actually went into, back up, I actually brought out more information right here detailing all of it. So it reads, frequency of Y DNA haplogroup E in modern populations and hypothetical migration route from its ancestor clade DE in Southwest Asia, Middle East. Haplogroup E arrived in Africa about 77,000 years ago and diversified in the Horn of Africa. It arrived together with specific West Eurasian alleles and later also associated with various Paleo-African populations, as well as among the ancient North Africans, which were in population indigenous to Northern Africa and distinctly related or ancestral to modern West Eurasians. Haplogroup E and DE have a Middle Eastern origin. Haplogroup E migrated into Africa as part of a massive migration of basal Eurasians. So basically, it's saying that haplogroup E is basal Eurasian, and that will include E1B1A. They literally are basal Eurasians. So let me read that again. Haplogroup E migrated into Africa as part of a massive migration of basal Eurasians, ancestral West Eurasians, and thus diffused and diversified within Africa, specifically the Horn of Africa, Northeast Africa. Haplogroup DE next to CF were the basal Eurasian lineages, which expanded from the Middle East. The common ancestral lineage Y DNA atom is suggested to have originated somewhere in the Middle East or the Iranian plateau. Massive Eurasian migration and following admixture created the many different African populations of today and are the reason for high genetic diversity observed in sub-Saharan Africa. In other words, modern Africans, sub-Saharan Africans, formed from indigenous Paleo-Africans and intrusive Afrosans, which are Afroasiatics, Basal Eurasians, and ancient North Africans. Finally, there is the fact why haplogroup E is dominant among non-African hunter-gatherers in Africa, and it is within the Eurasian subclade DE, while indigenous African hunter-gatherers belong to haplogroup A00, and B. And that's why we say haplogroup E is more of a Eurasian, Middle Eastern haplogroup, whereas haplogroup A and B is more of a true African or Paleo African haplogroup. And haplogroup E came into Africa, and it was the basal Eurasians. So that kind of, hopefully, that kind of answers your question. But did you want to get into that before we get to the next one?
I mean, that was a perfect explanation. I've been sharing this particular page dealing with the Taffarats and how they actually doing a PC analysis showed the affinity that they're pretty much the middle road from sub-Saharan Africa to West Eurasia, and it proves that those that are of the Bantu expansion and Bantu extraction actually do have Bronze Age Levant-like ancestry. So the evidence is there.
Yeah, I haven't covered that yet, so I'm not going to bring it out right here. But yes, that is a good paper that I will show everyone in due time. They have a group where they bash us. Yeah, there are definitely racist people in northern Africa and such. Great point. Shalom, Orthodox Moor. The Book of Jubilees. That's what we were talking about earlier. Yep. Abraham and his seed. Shem's, yep. That's the Book of Jubilees, right? Is I guess haplogroup TA1 Canaan? Because they were in Nepal. You find haplogroup T in the land of Canaan, so I guess you can say that by the time people started calling people Canaanites, haplogroup T would have been among that population. But in terms of like the biblical Canaan, no, I don't really subscribe to that. But it was present in the land of Canaan. It was there. Yeah. Do you want to touch on that?
From my studies, haplogroup T, it would have been in the Levant, but I always pegged them as F-89 lineages, so therefore they would be Japhites. If I'm understanding what he's saying here, that introgress into those lands that you associate with Canaan.
Yep. So, Jordan during Neolithic times. I need a little bit more to that question. And Charlie saying shalom to Orthodox Moor. Everybody saying shalom. So who got America? I'm gonna need some more clarification on that. Wait, do you understand the issue?
I think she's talking about the dispersal of Shem, Ham, and Japhet.
Oh,
and I would definitely say Japhet.
Yeah. Yep. Haplogroup Q is the brother of haplogroup R. What do you think about Somalis or Ethiopians? They have a high percentage of He, but they do not descend from Kush. Yeah, so Ethiopians with haplogroup E, I will consider them to be still descendants of Shem. And as for the Kushites, I'm going to bring out a video tomorrow on the Kushites, but I did actually cover the Kushites in a previous video. Let me show you that. Because of course our position is that Ham is Ham is A and B, and I just read a source about Paleo Africans having haplogroup A and B. But check out this video that I did that touches on let me got so much stuff open that touches on haplogroup A being the Kushites. Now I might bring out a mini source that kind of touches on that as well, since we're since we're on that topic. So I think, yeah, it's right here. So go to my playlist from Shem to Eber to Abraham. Check out this video, Eber and Azurat, who are the descendants of Cush, son of Ham. And in this video, I detail how the Cushites, the ancient Cushites, would have had haplogroup A. And yeah, I'm not going to get into it right now. You can check out that video, and I'm going to bring it back up tomorrow. But as for the Ethiopians and Horn Africans with haplogroup E, you know, I would say that a lot of them would descend from Joktan. Check out my video, Joktan, son of Eber, and Sheba, son of Joktan. The specific haplogroup that a lot of Ethiopians have of haplogroup E actually came into the Middle East. It came from the Middle East into Africa. There's a source that literally says it, and it's in that video. I might bring it out if the question comes up again, but how come T is so far away all the way? And oh yeah, by the way, I forgot. You can tackle that question too if you want.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much same understanding on that. Somalis, Ethiopians have haplogroup E. Yeah, they do. They have E. They also have a lot of A. They have a lot of B. But we will say when we're talking about the biblical Kush, we know that primarily the pre-Kerma population would have been the precursors to the Kingdom of Kush, and they're primarily AM13, haplogroup A. So we know for a fact that Kush would have been haplogroup A, and E would have later introgressed into those areas.
Yep. Like we read from earlier, E, basal Eurasians coming into Africa. How come haplogroup T is so far away in the Jordan? Are they the Japheth that settled? Yeah, I would say T would be like one of the branches or one of the descendants of Japheth to just come into the Middle East. So yeah, because it's part of FM 89. And you want to touch on that, Yashuk?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, T, the Pecking Cave, we know they were there, like around the Chalcolithic, before the J markers got there. But yeah, this should be an introgression of Japhites coming to Shemitic lands. That's all.
Yep. 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 All right. Looks like how E formed in Russian T. I don't think E formed like with T. E was already there before T, so T's it came a little bit late to the party. Came in the Chalcolithic, but yeah, I guess you can say they were kind of around each other. They're around each other longer than E and J. E and T were kind of there. Seems like they got along, I would assume. I mean, T didn't try to like population take over E like J did. So that's what I would say. Did you want to touch on that? But yeah, T, by the way, wasn't in the Neolithic times. I want to make that clear as well. It wasn't in the Neolithic. It was Chalcolithic. Copper Age.
Yep. Copper Age. We see these group of individuals in the Pecking Cave. That's how we know they were there. Yeah. E was pretty much toxins to that area, and they came in as Johnny Come Latelys, but earlier than J markers.
Mm-hmm. Shalom to all the brothers. Thanks for yep. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at things as well. Wherever the Israelites were, they probably would kind of, when they were scattered, of course, they would kind of look like the people that they're around because of mixing and stuff. I agree with that. You have Israelites today of all different phenotypes. I try to stress that as much as I can. You have Israelites that look like Ashkenazi people. You got Israelites that look like Sephardic people. You got Israelites that look like Mizrahi people. You got Israelites that look like Yemeni people. You got Israelites that look like Beta Israel people. You got Israelites that look like Pashtun people. Now, as for the original Israelite phenotype, I ain't going to get into that. But they definitely look like anything today. I mean, been scattered four corners of the earth type stuff. Shalom to you as well, or peace to you. Shalom. Shalom. I'm you gonna be a name. Oh, you're H. That's interesting. H is Eurasian, so that's pretty cool. Yep, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Seed of man. Hashtag. Yep. Yep. And saying shalom. Both the seed of man. I guess this was from way back when we were talking about something. Awesome. That's pretty cool. L3, pretty nice. We mixed with 7 major Jews today. Yeah, I'm familiar with that paper. I'm not going to bring it out here though, but yes, I am familiar with that paper. And could they mix with us? Could they have mixed with us and their mothers teach? Yeah, I can't get into that. we haven't got to that part yet, so I can't really get into that. Shalom. Okay. Will you cover Haplogroup T? Yeah, in the future I'll cover Haplogroup T, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath on that because it's going to be a long time until I get to Haplogroup T, like a very long time. My focus is on E and J. It is, my opinion, the only best ones that really have a good candidate of being Semitic or Israelites, and I kind of already showed that how E is Semitic, but still we still should have a good understanding of J. So I'm not quite done with them yet, but it'll be a while till I get to T. It'll be a while till I get to a lot of haplogroups. I want to get to T. I want to get to R. I want to get to Q and all the others, but I gotta take my time with things. But we went from MV, which was observed from the Neolithic, and jumped to J during the Bronze Age, but completely skipped T. Yeah. The reason why I didn't touch on T is because I kind of feel like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of feel like it was present among E and J, but it's so small, and it really didn't have a big impact, in my opinion, when it comes to a lot that was going on back then. Like I see a lot of E markers, I see a lot of J markers, very little T. So that's why my focus is more on E and J because it's more prolific in the Levant. But I will touch on T. I mean, I'll touch on all haplogroups if I can. My paternal lineage. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. How come the Bible? Can you clarify that question, please? How come the Bible and Scripture? I don't really know how to answer that. T is probably Semitic. I would consider T part of the FM89 lineages, so I wouldn't say that it's Semitic. Now, can you have Semitic speakers that have haplogroup T? Of course, yes, you can. There are definitely people who speak Semitic languages that have haplogroup T, but I wouldn't say that haplogroup T is Proto-Semitic. It's the originator of Semitic, or that it's the originator of Afroasiatic. I have to disagree with that, but it does have Semitic speaking peoples. That's how I would word that. Modern Elamites have it and levels. So does mine. Yeah. Haplogroup T is among a few Afroasiatic populations. It's among a few, but it's not the originator of Afroasiatic. Did you want to touch on that as well, Yeshub? Because remember, it's FM89. If we make T shim, then we got to make pretty much the whole CF lineage shim.
Yeah, that's pretty much it there. And then the Afroasiatic, we all know, comes from EP2, which is a Yap branch. So that's just like saying, oh, well, we can see these people that are in the Proto-Indo-European groups right now. That don't mean anything. That doesn't mean we come from the original Proto-Indo-European group. We can keep going to that example to explain that. And I disagree with him saying T is probably Shemitic. It's not.
Yeah. Let me see. How come the Bible and scriptures doesn't mention China? How come the Bible and scripture doesn't mention China and North Koreans, who are extremely powerful? In China has one of the biggest populations in the world. So, all right. So the reason why the Bible doesn't mention China or North Koreans or America or Canada is because those nations didn't exist yet. The Bible was written, or the events of the Bible took place in like the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, and Antiquity. So those nations didn't exist. Also, those nations were outside of the realm of when the scriptures was being written, so they're kind of irrelevant. But with that being said, I wouldn't say that they don't descend from Adam or anything like that. I think that in a roundabout way, Chinese and Koreans and such are mentioned in the Bible. When it comes to Genesis chapter 10, I would say that their ancestors from one of the sons of Noah would come from one of those three lineages of men. That's how I would say that they're in the Bible, in a roundabout way. Now, when it comes to being powerful in, like, I guess you're getting into end times. I don't really deal with the end times. I used to privately to myself try to study and understand the end times, but it's super complex and it's like I'm not going to touch on it on this channel, at least not anytime soon if I ever do. But I'm not going to really compare China to like end time stuff. I just see it as a nation as anything else at the moment. A nation that's, well, I'm not going to get into politics. I don't want to end up like John Cena, but you can handle that question too, Yeshub, if you want.
Yep. It's pretty much anachronistic. China, North Korea, like you said, those places didn't exist during the BC period when most of these biblical events were taking place. So it doesn't make sense for them to even, how they're going to talk about something that didn't exist during that time. So yeah, it's pretty much anachronistic.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah. I guess he's talking to somebody else in the comment section. He believes there being that most African American males do not carry an E marker from East African or the Levant. Do you think African American Israelites descend from converts? Yeah, I can't get into. All right, so I can't get into the question of whether African Americans or Israelites, or whether or whether I can't get into the question of whether African Americans or Israelites. I am trying to be neutral at the moment. I'm going to build up to the Israelites and who they are today, who they were in ancient times. So I can't get into like specifics, or I can't get into like hardcore. Yes, this person is an Israelite. Yes, this person is an Israelite. I'm not going to do that as of now. I'm trying to first build up my case, break things down slowly, and give everybody open room that descends from haplogroup E from paternal lineage. Of course, with the mixed multitude, you could have a lot of different people join in the nation, obviously. But in terms of like haplogroup E, who's an Israelite, everything's up in the air on the channel for now. Could be E1B1A, could be E1B1B, could be a mixture of E1B1A and E1B1B. So I don't want to get into who the whether or not African Americans are Israelites or not, or whether or not E1B1A is or not. Trying to be a neutral at the moment and slowly build up my case and look into things from a non-biased perspective. But great question. I'll definitely touch on it in the future. Well, I was about to say, do you want to touch on it? But I feel like that would still be implementing myself. I mean, you can touch on it if you want, but like I said, I have a more neutral standpoint.
This is what I say towards that. I'm not going to, dive into it. But the macro argument is still the same. They will be Shemites. Whether people want to say converts and whatnot, I still would hold true to the fact that they will be Shemites. And that's all I got to say towards that.
Right. And that is Yeshuv's stance. I think I know a white guy with E1B1A. Great grandmother was African. Yep, there are white people with E1B1A. Yep, like a Lithuanian Jew. Yep. According to research, majority of African American, yeah, like about 60% of African Americans have E1B1A. That is correct. Not 100%, only 60%. A little bit over, half. So that's pretty interesting. That goes to show you, goes to show you that there was other people involved in the transatlantic slave trade, and two, that goes to show you that there's a lot of raping going on, unfortunately. Across the world, world favorite. I don't know about that. Wait, hold on. Let me read that again. Did you want to touch on that?
Wait, what? It says across the world, but it works in our favor because we find the group unanimous. We found around all notable Jewish populations, while the same can be said for other haplogroups. I don't know what group he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think as well. I guess I'll skip it for now. I was trying to. How many Americans have Sephardic Jewish ancestry? Yeah, I can't get into that at the moment. So, my great grandmother is T. I'm assuming you mean grandfather, right? Or do you mean mitochondrial T? Because there is a mitochondrial T, I believe. But yeah, so you can restate your question if you want. I don't know if that was mistyped or whatever. Most don't carry UNB1A markers found in East Africa or Levant. All right, that's a question to, not question, but that's a statement to Second Exodus. 4, that's it. At least Holy UNB1A. Oh wait, that's to somebody else as well. Okay. Oh, that's still, or a lot of people are talking to each other in the comment section, so trying to find an actual question. Oh wait, okay. I know Japanese. Wait, what? Okay. Wait, no. Yep, Shari, you have a mitochondrial L3. If the fallen angels had kids with daughters of men, what haplogroup would they be? Hypothetically, if angels got with human women, I would assume that they wouldn't carry a Y chromosome because that's specifically a human thing. Like that's passed down from father to son to father to son. And hypothetically, if an angel got with like a human woman, I don't think it would have a Y, like the child would have a Y chromosome. A mitochondrial chromosome, sure, but I think it will just be, there'll be nothing. But that's all just hypothetical stuff. What about you, Shu? You want to tackle that?
There's no way to know what an angel's genetic signature would be, So
Right, that's what I was thinking too.
that's
Like, do they even carry semen? Like,
we don't know. Like what? That's
because that's how we're born, is through semen. So
yeah.
I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea. That's some. That's
Anyway,
something out of our reach. There's nothing we can. I can't really give you any input on what an alien's DNA is supposed to be like or angel's DNA. So
right. So let's see. A lot of people are talking to each other in the comment section. Let's see, what is this one? When you D of the Japanese. Yeah, Harry Rosenberg actually posted on Facebook how a lot of the Anu people in Japan, who typically are the originators of haplogroup D, the Anu people are the actual ones with D rather than the Japanese. The Japanese actually come from like Chinese and Korean peoples with O, But anyways, he says that a lot of the Anu people have a lot of, I guess you can say, Semitic or Jewish customs. So I think that's interesting. And the Anu people, like Japanese people, kind of can't grow beards that much. They're very hairless people, but the Anu people have beards. I think that's kind of interesting. And they have a very interesting phenotype compared to the Japanese. But yeah, that's what I have to say to that. Like I said, I do believe Yap is Shem. And whatever customs the Anu people have, the Chinese people, excuse me, the Japanese people have. I think it's kind of interesting how Harry Rosenberg kind of can put things together and see that. What about you, Yeshu? You want to touch on that?
Yeah, I've heard similar arguments for Shintoism, being very similar to, like he said, Semitic culture. And I mean, I think it makes sense if that's the case, because just like Class Saw says, these would be middle Eastern haplogroups. They could have carried those ideas with them as they made the trek towards Japan. So that's how I look at it.
Yep. You can't say that the Bible doesn't mention it. I guess he's talking. Wait, that's another conversation.
They get it in the comments,
Yeah.
But I did see another question out that's very intriguing.
Where is it? I can just try to get to it. I'm scrolling down slowly, but so I don't skip anybody's questions. But
Said something about haplogroup A.
oh,
Yeah,
here it is.
Yeah.
But if A is Ham, that doesn't explain why A can't be found in Levant, because if you follow the Bible, there should be many descendants of Ham in Levant. Well, I'm assuming you're referring to the Canaanites when you say that. And again, we've tested Canaanite remains, and we know who the Canaanites are, and that's the only reason why I wouldn't say that A would be like the Canaanites or something like that. And I take the understanding of the scriptures like this when it comes to the Canaanites. It's similar to what the previous guy said, that it's really referring to like people groups living in the land of Canaan. So I don't think literal Hamites were living in the Levant, because if you actually study those specific people groups, like the Hittites as an example, those are Indo-Europeans. And I don't think Indo-Europeans come from Ham. So it's very complex when you deal with the ancient Levant. That's why very soon I'm going to do more videos on the very specific ethnic groups living in the ancient Middle East, because it's complex. It's not just one people. Did you want to touch on that, Yeshu?
Yeah, so it's several haplogroups, like you said, that are introduced into the Levant, especially the Bronze Age. We're talking about the Bronze Age. We're not talking about the initial dispersal of humans after the flood. We're talking about right in the Bronze Age. So there's a lot of traffic going on. But what's interesting is you do see A markers and B markers outside of Africa. And I believe that would be the original Hamitic stock that would have been dispersing after the flood. You see them in Central Asia. You see them in, I believe, what is it, above Afghanistan? I can't remember where exactly.
Pakistan.
We see early A markers, and even associated with Crete. See A markers being associated with Crete. So, yeah, just because you don't find an ancient burial for every haplogroup doesn't mean that person wasn't present.
Yep, that's true as well. Yep. And there's a lot of more talking back and forth. Whether we are the original stock. I think this is a question. Whether we are the original stock, or maybe we just need some more data to come out to see which macro group was around Israelite time. Yeah, I agree. It would be great to test Iron Age Israelite remains. Not just one, by the way, but multiple ones, to like actually just know. Like, it'd be cool if they just told us, what was the Israelites, because scientists in the state of Israel actually have tested ancient Israelite remains. And there's a paper on it. but they won't release the samples. And various, scientists around the world have asked them to release the samples, and they haven't. So it's just a waiting game. But I have heard that in 2022 we are going to get some interesting papers, I believe, dealing with the Levant and with ancient peoples and modern peoples. And I heard it's going to be a really good paper. So I'm just going to wait for the new one coming out in 2022. But well, this year. But yeah, it'll be nice if they just go ahead and release the papers. But do you want to touch on that, Yeshub?
Yeah, I think this is referring back to what was said earlier about whether or not people could very well be converts or something like that. Yeah, we don't have the original Israelite stock, but we do have DNA papers that point to the inference. And I strongly believe E1B1A and E1B1B would have been in that ancient ancestral cluster.
Yep. So now, Haplogroup J descendants of Rome, push Haplogroup B Muslims out of the Middle East and down towards. Yep, that's Dr. Nathaniel Jensen's model. Except I don't think he says it's Togorma. I personally say J is Togorma, but yeah, Dr. Nathaniel Jensen's model is that J pushed E1B1B Muslims out of the Middle East into Africa. So yeah. And I believe in a similar thing that I covered recently, how Haplogroup J adopted Semitic languages from Haplogroup E. I believe that they lived around each other for a bit of time, but slowly over time, Haplogroup E migrated into Africa over various periods of time and stuff like that. Yeah, he says it right there. Yeah. Yep, that is true. Israel and any people who had joined the nation of Israel went into captivity, which means potentially, you can have various haplogroups today of Israel. If you want to think of the idea of everyone becoming an Israelite by taking upon the culture and stuff like that, yeah, her companions would have been part of that. Let's see. Oh wait, that's another question to somebody else. Oh, your great grandmother is T2. Okay, mitochondrial T. That's interesting. Because I don't hear too many people talk about having maternal T, so that's kind of cool. I have to look into that one. That's pretty interesting. To the host, sorry for the typo. We find E1B1A or in some form of notable Jews. Yeah, they're Jews with E1B1A and E1B1B. Yeah. Yeshub, you can touch on that. I think you might have a paper that talks about it too, if you can pull it up. But yeah, you find Jews with E1B1B. That's very easy to find. And you find Jews with E1B1A. I'll bring up a source on E1B1B, and Yeshub can bring up a source on E1B1A. I think even Abu brought out a source or talked about E1B1A being among Jewish people.
Yeah. E1B1A is like 10% of the Sephardi. I don't know about the Ashkenazi, what the percentage is, but they're present. You can go to JewishDNA.net and see the Ashkenazi. You have like U174 amongst them, which is obviously E1B1A, and M2 markers amongst the Ashkenazi. So that's pretty much prevalent that they do have E1B1A amongst them. Family Tree DNA, you can go to Family Tree DNA and see these markers as well in the Jewish E Project. That E1B1A does exist amongst known Jewish groups.
Yep. So I'm just going to specifically read the ones with E1B, but this is part of the reason why I do believe, the Israelites would have been E markers, and that, Shem was an E marker because E is Afro-Asiatic, it is pro-Semitic. So this reads, E-M215 and E-M35 are quite common among Afro-Asiatic speakers. The linguistic group and carriers of E-M35 lineage have high probability to have arisen and dispersed together from the Afro-Asiatic homeland amongst populations with an Afro-Asiatic speaking history. Again, this is all key. A significant portion of Jewish male lineages are E-M35. Excuse me. Haplogroup E-M35, which accounts for approximately 18 to 20% of Ashkenazi and 8.6% to 30% of Sephardi Y chromosomes. Now, here's the kicker. Appears to be one of the major founding lineages of the Jewish population. And that's very, very interesting. So, yeah, I believe E is a very good candidate for the Israelites and for Shem. And it's one of the major founding lineages of Jewish people. So, it's really interesting stuff. So now let's get to the next question. Why can't I explain them? I don't know what that is. I see your comment, Shari, but I'm not going to bring it up. That's funny. It was an inside joke, but anyway. Did the Israelites get sold into slavery? Sold themselves into slavery? Because even though the Afro diaspora were sold into slavery by powerful Edomite kingdoms. Yeah, I can't get into Edomite and Israelites and all that. Sorry. Right now, it's up in the air. Israelites could be E1B1B or E1B1A or both. It could be anything. I just say that they're E for now, but I'm not going to get into specifics because I haven't got to them yet. That would be disingenuous of me to just say something without providing evidence. So let's see. So if the three sons of Noah were his kids, why do we have different haplogroups? So if the three sons of Noah were his kids. Do you understand this question? I'm trying to understand it.
Yes, I do. So it's basically saying, if we only come from three men, why do we have so many different haplogroups?
Oh, okay. Well, to answer that question, first I'll quickly go over it, and then you can go over it too. Dr. Nathaniel Jansen has a very interesting model that I feel like y'all should check out. Basically, what he sees when it comes to haplogroups in the phylogenetic tree is that really all haplogroups could come from three ancestral nodes, and he believes that this is Abraham. Excuse me. I have other things on my mind. He believes that this could be Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And I think his model should be looked at as well when it comes to how three different men could have produced all these haplogroups. Three different nodes is what he says that is the way we could look at things. Did you want to cover that as too, Yeshub? I mean, as well, Yeshub? Getting kind of sleepy here.
Yeah. It's like the triad structure of humans, as what he's looking at the phylogeny. The star phylogeny is what they call it. He said triad structure. A and B goes a separate way, D goes a separate way, and CF goes a separate way. And they branch off to make all the population that you see today.
Yep. I feel like that makes a lot of sense, actually. So still a lot of talking. If it was regional, I think he's talking to somebody else. If it was regional, then those would be Canaan's descendants. If it was global, you would have a point. I think he's talking to some. Let me go back. Yeah, he's talking to somebody else, but I feel like I'll go ahead and answer it. Personally, I believe in a global flood, because that's what the scriptures allude to. And if we make it a local flood, technically, I feel like if we make the flood that happened in Genesis a local one, then that means the Most High failed in killing humanity, wicked humanity, and that also means that when it says 8 people survived the flood, well, technically no. Apparently, there was other humans alive. And when it comes to why gather animals when Noah's family could just leave. And plus, it says the water went above the mountains. Actually, let me pull up an image. Uh, image I love to show people.
The waters went above the mountain, but it's a local flood.
Right. How does that happen? It rained for, also, scripture says it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and that the fountains of the deep blew open. That's not going to be a local flood to me.
It's all about in context. You got to read the entire chapter in context, man. It's just
right.
simple.
Even my bad. Go ahead.
I'm saying it's that simple because somebody said if you replace the word earth with land, it makes sense as a local. No, it doesn't. The rest of the chapter didn't change its context. You're having a syntax problem right now. That's what you're having.
And then we're saying, basically we're saying the Most High failed in killing humanity, and that technically means that anyone who isn't, who survived the flood technically should be dead, because the Most High was trying to wipe out humanity. So, you got a bunch of people running around here, should have been killed by the flood, but, managed to survive. I feel like that's the reason why there is a lot of racism, because a lot of people feel like, oh, they should have died, those blacks or those Asians, they should have died in the flood, But here's an image I love showing people when they say a local flood, because the scriptures literally say it rained for 40 days, 40 nights, fountains of the deep broke open, the waters went above the mountains. So if it's a regional flood, then is this what we're saying happened? That when outside of the range of the local flood, the water just stopped. And why didn't Noah's family just leave? They could have just up and left instead of just stayed around. And why gather all those animals? And why didn't the people who are drowning just leave as well? Like, oh, it's been raining for a while, you guys. Maybe we should head over there where it's not raining.
Exactly.
I see Bob's house flooded. Maybe we should leave. So anyways, that's
the purpose of the flood, the Most High said it repented him that he made man. Like, so this is a judgment on all of mankind. Like, it just doesn't make sense when you read the rest of the narrative in context. It just makes no sense. It's a judgment for all of mankind, the great fountains of the deep, the water exceeding the height of mountains. Come on. This is a global flood here. Come on.
Right. And it says the breath of life was taken away from animals, from man, from all flesh. Furthermore, even the New Testament and Peter, I believe, talks about how only 8 lives were saved on the ark. And another issue with the whole local flood model is, I feel like that kind of destroys the idea of salvation and stuff, because I've heard in certain hardcore British Israelism chat rooms and stuff, like, should we even give the gospel or talk about Yeshua or Jesus to African peoples or Asian peoples, because they don't descend from the people that survived the flood. Maybe the Bible isn't for them, because they're pre-Adamites, or they're the ones who should have died in the flood and stuff. So it becomes a salvation issue as well. So anyways, skipping on to that from that question. J is Togarma, R is Magog. Most British peoples, aka Scythians. Yeah, I agree that R is Magog. Write the question statement. Most Africans, especially American Israelites, makes stock. Yep, to some degree. Spiritual. Who had the original type of eyes? First haplogroup D or O? Oh, who had the original? I'm talking about the almond shaped eyes. Personally, if you ask me, I feel like Adam and Eve had features that's in between all modern day humans. As a matter of fact, the almond shaped eyes, technically the most common eye shape in the world, because we find it in Africa, of course, with the Khoisan. We find it obviously in East Asia. And we find it in the Americas with the Native Americans. Like, it's a really common eye shape. So I believe that almond-shaped eyes was, I won't say that, Adam and Eve straight up looked like Chinese or whatever, but I do think that their eyes was in between an almond shape and a regular sized round eye, something in between there. What about you? You can tackle that too, you shoot. I think that's what he's saying. Like, he talks about the eyes.
Yeah, he's saying the Oriental type of eye, or I know the eye fold that they have is like a adaptation that they got when they were there, that fatty part over the eye. But you're right about the shape of the eye. As far as origins go, it could be something from early man. I don't know. I haven't studied or looked into what the origin of that particular eye shape came from, so I couldn't give any input on it.
All right. Okay. I don't think that's to me. Let me see. Those R1Bs with the 18th dynasty and the modern Africans in Chad, right near the yeah, yeah. Eurasian E and R, migrating throughout Africa, uh, true, true to those Africans, like how. Okay. Just keep in mind, Second Exodus, that Haplogroup E is also among Fulani and Hausa people. Haplogroup E, T, R, and even some B, I believe, is among the Hausa. So they are a bit diverse, but yeah, just want to point that out. That puts, I believe. Wait, what? Yep, I definitely believe the Israelites are haplogroup E. They would have one of the E clades. Not going to get into which one. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. All right. All right, so it says we definitely see a bottleneck genetically in the records that dates around. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I do find it interesting how civilizations start to just pop up in a certain time period, out of nowhere, seemingly. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's Dr. Nathaniel Jensen's model on haplogroup E uh, being pushed into the Middle East by J markers. But I will say that technically haplogroup E would have been both in Africa and in Arabia around the time of like the medieval period, um, because the Christian Nubian kingdom of Mercia was what I think that was the medieval period. So E would have been both still in Africa, but also it would have been in Arabia, because like I read from the other paper, DE originated in West Asia, and so E does have a origin. Did you want to touch on that, Yushu?
Yeah, I would have to look into what he's talking about here, the Christian Nubians and their DNA and whatnot. But I do see the correlation with E1B1B in the Islamic or Arab expansion, if you will. I do see that, and I think the evidence does point towards that direction.
Yep, yep, yep. And remember, Christian Nubians, when it comes to the ancient Kushites, they would have been A and B markers. Nilo-Saharan speakers, Nilotic people. Let's see. Yep, Elkim says, 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4 it basically does a recap of the flood from Genesis. So some people said it was actually a flood. Wait, what? Some people said it was actually a flood of people from the Caucasus. I don't know what you're saying. And then God. I'm just gonna skip that. Anyways.
Well, they be getting very esoteric.
The Nephilim did survive. I'm not gonna touch on the Nephilim.
They had Red Cross back then.
By the way, when it comes to the Nephilim, I'm just gonna go ahead and touch on that. All right, so if we're going with the hypothetical idea that angels got with human women and created the Nephilim and stuff, the Nephilim would have died too, because it says all the breath of life. That includes the Nephilim. So the Nephilim would have died in the flood. And yeah, like even if you go with the idea that the Nephilim, like I know a lot of people say the Nephilim went into caves to survive the flood. Well, remember what the scripture says. It says that the fountains of the deep broke open. That means some of the first places to get flooded would have been caves, because water's coming from out of the ground, subterranean chambers. So they would have like died. That would have been their tomb. There's pretty much nowhere else to go. And you can't say they went to the mountains because the water went above the mountains. So Nephilim are dead.
Dead.
Yeah, they turned into oil that we put in our cars, like all the other biological elements. Let's see. Oh, that's to somebody else. So let's see. Open theist guy. Yep, Shari. Yep.
Open theism, guys, always learning.
Dang, I forgot to kill them Africans now.
Yeah, we're the Nephilim. We're the children of the fallen that survived the flood.
Yeah, it's always Africans who people believe, it's outside of the Bible, because that's what Hebrew Israelism believes. That it was sub-Saharan Africans who weren't part of the lineage of Noah.
We're the children of Cain.
Yep, the evil brother, of course. That's why we're so evil. I think that's racist, by the way. In the Bible, in the Hebrew. All right. Wait, hold on. Let me go back to that. Yeah. To the reply to me on the flood, thank you, by the way, for responding. Some who say the region flood say it really matter genetically anyway, because it destroyed some of the pre. Yeah, no problem. Reaching back out to you. Yeah, I've heard of that local flood thing. To me, it just doesn't work. And I know it's always like British Israelism who says it, or like people who are like semi-racist or whatever who say it. Not saying that you are, but I know a lot of people who like to push the local flood thing. Almost always say that black people, sub-Saharan Africans, were the ones who like survived the flood, or who weren't, descendants of Noah. And it's like, dang, bro, like you can't even give us like a chance at being human.
You N-words are not children of Noah, all right?
Right.
We don't even get the Noah covenant. You know what I'm saying? We don't even get that.
Yeah, we don't even get the Noahide covenant. We don't get nothing. Like, at least make us Hamites, but to make us not even descendants of Noah, like that go. That's racist. Anyways, I believe all humans today descend from Adam and Eve and from Noah, so that's how I see things. Flood ethnic groups, by the way, I believe in global as well. Yep. Awesome that you believe in global. Awesome. Yeah, Nilots also have almond-shaped eyes. That's true. Are the Mizrahi Jews converts? That's a very complex question. If we're going to go in terms of haplogroups, Mizrahi have so many different haplogroups, and of course, I only believe one haplogroup to be the paternal lineage of Shem. I would say Mizrahi Jews with haplogroup E uh, are definitely have a super high chance of being the paternal lineage of Jacob. I definitely believe that. Pretty much any Jew with haplogroup E. But like outside of haplogroup E, like FM89 lineages, I'm just gonna say that their ancestors could have joined the nation at some point in time. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't say that they're like fake or anything. I think that'd be kind of rude to say. For an uh, who, yep, almond shaped eyes is among those groups. Is there enough? Is there enough DNA data showing EMBNA in Portugal and Spain to show me where they're after before the expulsion? You actually do have a Moorish sample, I believe, with E1B1A, if I can remember correctly. Is there a Moorish sample with E1B1A, Yeshub? Or yeah, actually, yeah, there is. There's a Moorish sample with E1B1A. So yeah, it was there in the medieval era of Portugal and Spain before the expulsion. So, but I'm not going to get into like Sephardic Jews and all that. I'm not doing that. But it was present in that time period. Haplogroup UMB seems to have specifically targeted UMB as slaves. When, I wouldn't say that UMB specifically targeted UMB as slaves. Remember, Dante has UMB and his ancestors were slaves, so it'll be kind of hard to say that they just targeted them. And also, I don't really believe in the idea that like there's a secret cabal of this haplogroup going against that haplogroup, because people they didn't know about haplogroups. It was just this clan hated that clan, and I'm going to enslave you type stuff. So it really doesn't have to do with haplogroups. It's just tribal warfare and clan type stuff. Like, I don't like you, so I'm going to enslave you and kill you. So that type of stuff. Sometimes it feels like all the DNA genetic marker stuff is really a waste of time because people can be related yet not have the same haplotypes. It's actually not confusing. You just have to, take the time to kind of, read a lot of genetic papers, because it actually is very beneficial to understand these haplogroups and read these genetic papers, learn about DNA, especially when you're dealing with ancient human populations. I don't think we should just get rid of it because it's confusing for the first few days of studying it. Like when I first got into DNA, it was confusing as well. I was the same way. I was like, man, this is kind of hard to understand. But after reading it over and over again and studying it more and more, it becomes simple and easy, and you kind of get the lingo, you know. So just take your time and keep looking at it, and you'll get to seeing the value in it. I believe. Yep, I do agree that there were giants. By the way, not denying that. I agree that there was basically very tall people with who were like evil and stuff. Should Bantus be classified as Afroasiatic? And where did the Bantu language originate? I will touch on the Bantu language. There's some very interesting things about the Bantu language. Now, a lot of people clearly don't know about from my comment section. But there's books from Christopher Ehret, a well-known linguist, who has actually touched, and E. Lipsky, who has touched on the Bantu language, and they found some very interesting things. I advise y'all read E. Lipsky and Christopher Ehret. You want to know about it before I get to it. I'm saying people like to claim it was water flood. Oh, people like to. Yeah, I've heard a lot of weird things too. But yeah, it's said that the breath of life was taken away from like people and people and animals. So I don't really see how that would be, people doing it to other people. And why build a flood and why raining for like 40 days and 40 nights and water coming like that? That's I don't think that's a people. I think it's like an actual flood waters.
So build an ark because of a flood of people. Got it.
Right. And it says it rained for 40 days and 40 nights and stuff like that. So I can't see that being a migration of people or whatever. And if it was that, then why didn't they just like get axes to chop down the ark to kill Noah's family? Anyways, do y'all have any information on the 3 enslaved Africans from Portugal that was found in Mexico? I actually looked into those 3 Africans a long time ago. Dang, I can't remember. I looked into them, but I think they had E1B1A. Some people also claim the giant showed up again. So no. All right, if I'm going with the idea that angels got with human women to create giants, then there is a scripture in the book of Enoch, I believe, that talks about another set of angels coming down after the flood to Mount Hermon. And that's how I believe the new set of giants would have been made. If I was going to go with the idea of angels and human women. So no, I still don't think that they survived. They would have died. Just another set of angels came down. But we're not getting to like that esoteric type stuff tonight. UMB1A is linked to, yep, there is definitely a link. We all in human races improve. We all in humans, so racism, that's pretty good. You see that one, you shoot?
Yeah. I mean, I know a couple people will agree with that statement. We're not even children of Noah. We're subhuman, inhuman, whatever you want to call it. We're anything but Noah's children.
I'll outright say it. Hebrew Israelism. Jacob Israel thinks we're not descendants of Noah.
Yep.
And Japanese people, apparently. Which is funny because they happen to have haplogroup D. Naruto is not descendant of Noah.
You know what I've noticed is a lot of these races, dehumanizing doctrines are popping back up.
Right.
These things are old. You can read about them 1800s, 1700s. These people were contemplating this about Africans years ago, hundreds of years ago, saying that we were not even children of Noah, sons of Cain, pre-Adamites, all of this subhuman, any category that would, justify the destruction of our ancestors, that they pretty much taught that.
You kind of lagged there for me, but are you there?
Yeah. I just said
Okay.
any doctrine that they could use to justify the destruction of our ancestors, they taught it.
Yep. Hate us that much. Maybe we should do a show in the future on pre-Adamites and stuff. Not on my channel, but on your channel. Pre-Adamites, Hamitic hypothesis and stuff like that. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty
we
interesting.
can definitely do that.
Regarding Mizrahi Jews, the chief Kohanim families and records have heard. I don't know if it's true. Have records. I don't know. Yeah, Mizrahi Jews do have E1B1B. They have E markers basically. The Kohan of the Samaritan Jews have haplogroup E. They have it up to 100%, specifically from the tribe of Levi. I covered that in previous videos. If you want me to bring it out, just add it into the comments and I'll bring it out. But yeah, they're Jewish people with haplogroup E. Was Ramses the third an Israelite? Can't get into that. Sorry, can't get into that. But he would have spoken Afro-Asiatic. spoken the Egyptian language. Ezekiel, yes, I'm a descendant of them via Thomas. Interesting. Cool. We should probably have you on the show one day. That's pretty cool. Descendant of a Sephardic Jew. Cool. Is it possible that black Israelites are autochthonous to? Nope. Let's hypothetically say that the Israelites. Let's hypothetically say that black Israelites. No, let me repeat that. Let's hypothetically say that black people are the Israelites. They would not be autochthonous to America. Autochthonous meaning indigenous. Why is that? Because Native Americans are autochthonous to America, and the Israelites didn't originate in America. So no, they wouldn't be. You want to touch on that, Yeshua? Maybe you can break it down a better way.
As in black Israelites, those were E markers. We have no shred of evidence to prove that they were in America or autochthonous or original to America.
Yeah.
We have evidence that we were in the Middle East. We have evidence that we were in Africa. We don't have evidence of us being in America. There's no empirical data to back it up.
Yeah. A notion. Wait, no, my bad. A people. A nation is determined or summed up by. Yep. It's possible if they're paternal and trace back to indigenous. I mean, yeah. Are there black people with haplogroup Q? Yeah, there's that. Yeah, definitely. Do you think Beta Israel is really the descendants of the children of Israel, or they are converts? Because Ethiopian Bible is not. All right, so I believe that Ethiopian Jews with haplogroup E definitely have a high chance of being paternal descendants of the Israelites. Again, I believe E is Shem, so I believe, the Israelites will have some type of E marker. Now, adding to that, you do find a lot, like 41% of Ethiopian Jews with haplogroup A. And I was like, dang, when I saw that, that's amazing. So I would say that those Ethiopian Jews with haplogroup A would have joined the nation of Israel, their ancestors, should I say, would have joined the nation of Israel at some point in time. I don't know when. It could have been from the Exodus. It could have been from the time period of King Solomon and Queen Sheba. But in some time period, haplogroup A people joined the nation of Israel, and their descendants today, a lot of Beta Israel people have A up until this day. And that's how I see it for all Jewish populations with like J and R and T, like their ancestors obviously at some point in time joined the nation of Israel. Because like I always bring up, FM89 lineages adopted Semitic culture from E. So Bantu is possibly a root of interesting. I cannot get into that, but interesting. So Noah should be E. Nope. Noah would not be E. It depends. There's different models and different ways you can look at it, but I believe only Yap descendants are Shem. Did you want to touch on that, Yeshua?
Yeah, it's impossible Noah to be E. I think he's getting confused because like, oh well, Noah and his three sons will all have the same haplogroup. I hear this a lot, but again, even in secular models, all haplogroups come from one male. Every single haplogroup. So what we're saying is the Y chromosome on Noah, that's what we'll call it. His children would have that Y chromosome, and eventually, through their when they disperse throughout the earth, they would have divulged into DE, CF, and AB.
Right. What haplogroup were the people of Bon Ambaka? I don't even know who that ethnic group is. I'm sorry. Is that an African ethnic group or a Native American ethnic group or a West Asian ethnic group or European?
That's Bottom Park. That's Central America. That's like
Probably
close to Mexico. Yeah.
probably Q or C, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How old is Earth and how old is Adam? Is so wait no. Is there any breaks in lineage between Adam and? So there's various ways you can look at the age of the Earth. I've covered this in previous videos. I have a video titled "The Young Earth and Perspective" and another video titled "The Old Earth Perspective." So depending on which, interpretation you take of the scriptures, you can say that the earth is really, really old, like, millions or hundreds of thousands, or you can say that it's like 6,000 to 10,000 years old. Personally, for me, I can rock with an old earth model and I can rock with a young earth model. Personally, I lean more towards a young earth, but I do understand the concepts of an old earth. I try to at least understand both models. So, but that's how I'll explain that. So it's kind of hard for me to answer the rest of your question because there are, there are two different ways of looking at the age of the earth, and I believe in both. But as for any breaks, I would say no, there was no breaks in the lineage. It's pretty much consistent. But did you want to touch on it, Yeshub?
Well, I lean more on the older side of things. I don't have a definite age of the Earth, but what's interesting is that we do know, according to, I believe, a study by Thaler, that all life did cut off at a certain point in time. They say between 100, 200,000 years ago. Um, all life, I mean, humans, 90% of life, pretty much all humans had pretty much restarted during this time period. And I believe that's the flood period. And then after that period, this is when Noah's three sons begin to migrate and disperse across the earth and restart humanity.
Very nice, very nice. Can y'all do a presentation on Dante for wait, no, that's not Dante. Can y'all do a presentation about the Danites from Yemen for the community? Yeah, I can touch on Eldad the Danite. I actually do plan on doing that in the future. He's a very influential person, ancient Jewish traveler and scholar, historian. So yeah, I'll definitely touch on him in the future. Very interesting fellow. Yep, yep. Facts, man, facts. Wait, what? Thoughts on the book? He came before Columbus. Who were these? I don't understand. Did you want to touch on that, Yeshub? I don't know what books he's talking
Also,
about.
the book he came for Columbus. Who were those statue heads? Oh, so he basically talking about there's a book about Africans that were here before Columbus. They make a lot of claims, and they point to the what are those heads called?
Oh,
Uh,
the Olmecs. Yeah, I
yeah,
know what you're talking about.
yeah, and try to say
Yeah,
that oh, that's proof Africans were here first or something like that.
yeah, the Olmecs were not Africans. So you actually have a migration of Polynesian and Australian peoples into South America, and of course, Australians and Polynesians have phenotypes a bit similar to Africans. They have pronathinous jaws. They have wide noses, kinky-ish hair, stuff like that. So I believe that and we find a lot of Native Americans with haplogroup C and some type of genetic link to Polynesians and such. So there's evidence of like basically Oceania people in South America. So no, I wouldn't say that the Olmecs were African American. I wouldn't say that the Olmecs were Africans. I would say that they were like Polynesian people. And uh, until we find even B1A samples, ancient samples, I mean, of in South America, I cannot confirm that are, any African people were there, whether it's E1B1A or A or B markers or whatever. What about you? You want to touch on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, the oldest markers we find here are Q and C. We found the markers. We know what DNA was here associated with these groups. There's just no empirical evidence to even point towards that direction. Maybe in the future, we don't know what the future entails. But as it stands now, we don't have any evidence of, A, B, E, or E African haplogroups being associated with pre-Columbia, pre-Columbus America.
Right. Okay, that's somebody else. Yep, he definitely could have been. We don't know too much about Ramsey's father, so that's kind of interesting. And I lost where I was at. Okay. Haplogroup A, Cushites, I definitely agree. I agree. They left the Levant and they came here. Wait, what? They left the Levant. They came here. I don't know who they is, unless you're talking to somebody else. Noah may have been A, same as Hamsham. Yeah, I don't think Noah was Haplogroup A. I feel like the Cushites was Haplogroup A. Did you want to touch on that? You shoot. Wait, am I in the Matrix?
Nope, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
I had to step away for a minute. I'm back.
Oh, it sounds like you're eating. I'm about to do the same thing.
Yeah, man. We've been on here 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna end it here soon. So everybody get your questions in because we are gonna end it here soon. But did you want to touch on that question or go to the next one?
Noah may have been A, same with Hamsham and Japhet. I mean, it's in the realm of possibilities. I don't look at it from that standpoint. I just say Y chromosome on Noah, or like Classall says, he calls it haplogroup alpha, and through haplogroup alpha, all the rest of the haplogroups would have came. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Where Garfield them at? They had lots to say. What did they say earlier today? You can send it to me in the private chat. Not on here, but you can text me it. But
I have no clue what those guys do over there.
yeah, because I don't really watch them yet. What's yes, he was Haplogroup E. And that's all I'm gonna say. He was Haplogroup E. I'm not gonna get into that other stuff. I ain't gonna be targeted. Anyways, you still oh, that's somebody else. I don't know what that's about. He was Semitic, guess. I'm not getting into that. Yep, I still go to Burn TV. Yeah, interesting. I guess
yeah, that's funny. Bruce Smith's pointing out what they say. No one gets edified by us. Who is he edifying? Certain individuals, I ain't gonna say their name. They say we don't edify the people.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, all extra biblical stuff. Oh, the Olmecs. Okay. Who did Noah's children mate with? If the only boat, who did they? Scripture says that Adam and Eve had other sons and daughters. I feel like that's often overlooked in scriptures because we only hear about Cain, Seth, and Abel. My bad, Cain, Abel, and Seth, should I say? But scripture literally says that Adam and Eve had other sons and daughters, so they would have mixed with their siblings. Let me bring that up, and Yeshub can touch on that as well.
Man, I'm scared to even touch on that because I'm going to open up a bag of worms.
Oh, really?
We're going to be on here another 3 hours.
All right. I'm just going to bring up this one verse and then I'm going to move on. Yeah, because I can see how that can spark into a very long discussion.
Yeah, the comments are still pouring in, and they're going to hear that and be like, "Oh, well, what about this? What?" No, because I have a particular way of looking at it. I don't look at it the same way that the creationists do. So my point of view is a little different.
Right. But that's Yap Gang. We all got different varying opinions. That's why I don't understand how Hebrew Israelism is going to like lump Yap Gang together to come up with a presentation when we all got different point of views on things like young earth and old earth and all that. But anyways, Genesis chapter 5 verse 4 says, after he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So Adam and Eve did have other kids, sons and daughters. And it's interesting because we don't really hear about the names of the daughters, but he definitely had them. And he had other sons. So they would have got with each other. Anyways, please don't make more questions on that because we do need to wrap things up. This is a young Earth pale skin. It was very recent. Yep, it was recent in my opinion. Well, just not in my opinion, but it's recent scientifically. Yeah. Native Americans are haplogroup Q. Yeah, they're Q. I want to know what they were doing up in them Caucasus to come back down pale as. Yeah, so Caucasus hunter-gatherers, who were some of the earliest humans to have light skin, they probably, well, like light skin it's an allele and it's a mutation. It could have been, well, actually, there's various reasons as to why. One, I'm going to make an assumption. It could have been through well, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what they were doing. Some people just develop mutations because I don't want to make an assumption as to how, but it's just a mutation. All humans come from Kenya. Yeah, if go with an old Earth, Anakin Skywalker. Very, very cool character from Star Wars. Like I want to know what happened. I told you. Yeah. Yeah, A and B are not Hebrews, not in origin. What's the earliest Umbene symbol found in Africa? Which part of Africa? Did you want to touch on that when you shoot?
The earliest E1B1A sample found in Africa, in which part of Africa? The earliest E1B1A sample you find is East Africa, and it's the Motaman. That is the earliest, and it's dated at 4500 BCE, but there's a range that it can even be 2400. I mean, not 4500 BCE, but 4500 years before present, and it can even be as recent as 2400 years before present. That's
Yep.
In Africa.
Yep. Why is it so hard to find haplogroups in Brazil, or is it just me? Probably because of the government. A lot of this stuff is political when it comes to scientists getting jurisdiction to do excavations and certain historical sites and stuff. So a lot of times governmental reasons, because you can't just start digging up ancient grave sites on the whim. You got to get permission from people in the upper room and stuff like that. So a lot of it's political. Same thing with Israel, or anywhere. Can't just go to Egypt, start digging, getting mummies and testing them. You got to get permission and all that stuff. So same thing with Brazil. Did you want to touch on that question?
Yeah, I don't know too much about Brazil and their policy on ancient DNA, and do they allow people to do digs there? I couldn't give any input on that, but maybe that could be the reason.
Yep. King Tut was R1B barbarians. Yep, he was R1B. Yeah. I wouldn't say that he's automatically a barbarian because of it, though. I think that's a bit that's a bit far to say. Common theory, not in background. See a lot of statements, so we might be getting to the end. All right, T or him. Yeah, can't. Yeah, like I said, I believe FM 89 lineages is, Japheth. Like I said, sure, you can find dark-skinned people with different haplogroups, but their origin can still be from Japheth. But did you want to touch on that? You shoot.
Yeah, like we said earlier, haplogroup T and H would ultimately come from FM 89, which we attribute to CF, which we attribute to Japh. So these people would be Japhites. I don't know why he's making that connection, but maybe on a future show we can have that discussion.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So remember what the verse said, though. I know what you're talking about now. You shoot. But remember what the verse said. It said, after Seth was born, he begot sons and daughters. So, yes, Adam and Eve initially had 3 sons, but even after those 3 sons, they had more sons and they even had daughters. It says in Genesis chapter 5, verse 4, after he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years and had sons and daughters. So it's after he begot Seth. That's when he had more sons and even daughters. Daughters are included. So there was more men and women coming from the lineage of Adam and Eve. I don't know. I haven't seen his videos. Maybe somebody can tell me. If J is not Shem, how do the Limba people have J? My bad if this question has been already answered. Nope, this is the first time it's being asked. So the Limba's ancestors would have been people who would have adopted Semitic culture from Haplogroup E. There's various that talk about how Haplogroup J adopted Semitic from Haplogroup E, and the Limba's ancestors with the J marker specifically. Now, I do believe that the Limba people with Haplogroup E have a chance of descending from paternal Israelites, but the ones with J would have descended from people who joined the nation of Israel, and that they would have adopted the Semitic culture and language of Shem. Yeshub, you can tackle that question as I bring up a source that can deal with that. And you can bring one up too if you want.
Yeah. So, Limbo and J have a lot of different groups. L, K, can just be attributed to the absorption of other male lineages amongst them. That doesn't prove that J is Semitic. It just means that group absorbed those foreign groups. Again, even in ancient Israel, we would have had foreign groups amongst us because, again, a mixed multitude came into Israel. We married into other lineages. We would have had other males there that was reproducing, keeping the culture, understanding our language, teaching our culture. So just because you see a group that's attributed to Jews does not mean that, oh, well, the J marker has to be related to the Proto-Semites. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up a quick source that deals with J adopting Semitic from E, or FM89 lineages adopting Semitic from E. So this is from In Hot Pursuit of Language and Prehistory, and it reads, the presence of Semitic in the Near East might be explained as follows. Early pre-Proto-Semitic speakers would have migrated into Syro-Palestine before the Neolithic, being taken by their M35 bearers, specifically M35/78, and adopted by populations bearing M89 lineages. So what's M89? M89, also known as FM89, which represents 90% of the world's population. Haplogroup J comes from F. As you can see right here, IJ comes from the ancestor IJK, which descends from haplogroup F. So when it says that populations bearing M89 lineages adopted Semitic from haplogroup E, that would include haplogroup J. And there's tons of other papers that deal with that as well. Did you want to add into that, Yeshub? Or I think you already did. My bad. Haplogroup J is Semitic. I will have to disagree on that. I just read a source that talked about J being, really not being Semitic. I'll bring up, one more source detailing what haplogroup E is, according to what scientists have said. So here's actually a good source. This is from EUpedia, titled Haplogroup E, E1B1B, and it reads, E-M34 is the main Middle Eastern variety of E1B1B and is thought to have arrived with Proto-Semitic people in the late Copper to early Bronze Age. So I would say Haplogroup E is Semitic. It is Shem, Proto-Semitic. Haplogroup J is not Semitic in origin, but it does have Semitic speakers, but it's not Semitic in origin. That's how it worked that. I believe my ancestors came from North. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I would not disagree with you if that's what your lineage is. Are the Byzantine Greeks? You do have Byzantine. Actually, wait, no, I think Byzantine did begin in what? The Eastern Mediterranean. So yeah. Yeah, this person says it. J migrated and mutated within Semitic lands, but its origins is Japhetic, paternal. Yep, that's it. Yep. So they mix with one branch. So they mix with the one branch of Semitic. Yeah, only JP58 is considered Semitic. Out of the entire branch of Haplogroup J, only JP58 is considered Semitic. Let me bring that up because that's important to know as well. I cover this in my video series, Haplogroup E versus J. Check it out. But this says, and it's funny, Jacob Israel wanted me to keep bringing this out, or, Hebrew Israelism kept wanting me to bring this out, but really kind of destroys his point. He says, or the paper says, J1-P58 is by far the most common widespread subclade of J1. It is a typically Semitic haplogroup, making up most of the population of the Arabian Peninsula, where it accounts for approximately 40% to 75% of male lineages. So only J1-P58 is considered Semitic. Oops, brought up something else. Didn't mean to do that. But look, P58 is only one branch of the entire J haplogroup. And there are other branches of J1, but only this one is considered to be Semitic. And here's J2. This is a tree into itself. So out of the entire Haplogroup J tree, only this one branch is Semitic. Why is that? Because this one branch of J went into the Middle East and adopted Semitic languages. But it's not the originator of Semitic languages. It adopted it. And there's papers that deal with that as well. Do you want to touch on that, Yeshub?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much did a great job. That's the only branch that's leaked into and adopted the Semitic. So what is the rest of it? The rest of it consists of Caucasian, some of the Proto-Indo-European. I would put those people with the origin of those language groups, not with Semitic.
Yep. And this person says Haplogroup J are Quacktonite Arabs. Well, actually, this source right here, you won't happen to bring up this source, but this source right here actually says that J would not be of the Quachtonites, but of the Adonites, Arabterized Arabs, and that the Quachtonites had haplogroup E, or the Joctonites. So let me read this. This is from Haplogroup J1 is definitely not Semitic in origin, and it reads, based on Arab genealogical tradition, the Adonites are Arabterized Arabs, whereas the Quachtonite tribes are thought to be pure Arabs. The local people of Arabia today, kind of reading fast, whereas the Quachtonite tribes are thought to be pure Arabs, the local people of Arabia today, in genetic projects, we see that most of people with Quachtonite tribes, from Quachtonite tribes, are usually related to the lineages of E1B1, whereas Adonites are mostly related to J1. And Adonites, like they said, those are Arabterized Arabs. So the Quachtonites are actually haplogroup E, which would be Joktan. Do you want to add on to that question?
I mean, it's beautifully said, man. It's beautifully said how you put it. Yeah, E would have been amongst them as well, which could be, what are we saying, the children of is it Midian, or I forget which son it is that's being attributed to them. But yeah, E would have been amongst them.
Yep. Were the black, I don't know who, wait, were the black Khazars Jews? And that's an interesting question, but I can't get into that. So are they Jew? I think that's somebody else. Are Ashkenazim, are the Ashkenazim mixed with Manasseh? I guess you could have some Ashkenazim from Manasseh, but most Ashkenazim claim to descend from Judah. They claim the southern tribe, not really the northern tribe. So yeah. So I'm not into that. Are Arab and Jew similar? I mean, there are different types of Arabs and different types of Jews. Genetically, I mean, I guess genetically, Arabs and Jews with haplogroup J would be similar, yes, and Arabs and Jews with haplogroup E would be similar. So yeah, I guess in a roundabout way, yeah, those with haplogroup E or J would be similar, yeah. Yeah, they're both Semitic languages, so that's how they'll be similar, which in terms of language. Most AA have tales of. Okay, I'm not getting into Native American stuff. Yeah, I'm not getting into Native American stuff. Please stop with the Native American questions. And we're about to wrap things up here in a second, so add in your last few minute questions, but also bring your last few minute questions, but also stop asking questions.
For real, like y'all going in, like it's one, man. It's 1 o'clock now. Come on, y'all.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, actually, according to the new trilogy, Rey is the chosen one. So, thanks a lot, Disney. But anyways,
I know, right? Yeah, Disney. I don't like the new.
Hey, bro, you can say it now, folks. Most people agree the new trilogy was trash.
Now the Mandalorian, gold. That's a good series.
Mandalorian is great, and the Boba Fett series, really good. Especially the latest episode. But I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was good. All right. Anyways, back to this. Could even be when they belong to another? Could even be when they belong to another one of Noah's children as well? Like I said, I have various models and various interpretations of things. So, sure, why not? Even be when they could descend from another descendant of Abraham. That's very high possibility. There's various ways we can look at things. There's various models we can look at things. So, sure. Median is pretty interesting, but anyways, I'm not going to confirm or deny anything, but yeah, sure. Is Alexander the Great Greek or Macedonian? Alexander the Great is Macedonian. Now, are Macedonians Greeks? That gets into an ancient old debate. But I would say Alexander the Great was Macedonian. A lot of them have haplogroup E, by the way, E-V13. It's very interesting. And Greeks were heavily influenced by Phoenicians. So if 90% of the world, I said, yeah. Limba is Yemeni Hamitic. I don't know about that. Who is that? Who is Brandon? I hope you don't believe that you saying people. I don't know who that's to. I don't know who Brandon is. Regarding Genesis, also not. All right, I'm just gonna kind of just skim through these questions. I've seen a source that say they were mixed with. Oh, you have? Okay, interesting. Well, if you can bring that source out, that would be cool. But yeah, that's definitely a plausibility. I just always know that they claim Southern tribe, but yeah, they could be from Manasseh. Some of them. Sure. I try not to question people's genealogy too much. I mean, I'm going to bring out the facts when it comes to the genetic paper, but I still try to be politically correct on things. I don't want to offend people too much. Yes, some Khazars definitely joined the nation. Some, I wouldn't say a lot, but some. Are Macedonians Slavs? Heck no, Macedonians aren't Slavs. Don't talk about our brothers like that. No, I'm playing. But no, Macedonians they're Balkan peoples. I wouldn't say that they're Slavs, but they're Balkan peoples. They would have spoken like a Romance language, I believe. And Slavs speak Slavic. So I'm surprised. I think we're near the end of the questions. Macedonia is in Greece, not to be mistaken with the country of Macedonia. Okay. At some point, you should deal with the Native Americans. Yeah, I'll deal with the Native Americans in the future, but don't hold your breath on that. Like with Haplogroup T, don't hold your breath. That's gonna be a long time before I cover that, because it's just gonna be a long time. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you for everyone who joined us and who watched the video. I'm just gonna say one last thing. I said this at the beginning of the video. I'm gonna say at the end of the video. So as I said, I have recently put out a video series. Hold on, let me just get to it first. And please don't send any more questions. I'm ending it here. So I recently put out a video series titled, if you go to my playlist, by the way, you have to go to my playlist. I put out a video series titled Haplogroup J, Academic and Biblical Origins. If you want to look at the series, check out all these videos. This full series deals with the academic and biblical origins of Haplogroup J and Haplogroup I, and I deal with various ancient human populations from Caucasus hunter-gatherers to the Yamnaya culture and modern-day Indo-European populations that have Haplogroup J. And I put a biblical connection to Haplogroup J and Haplogroup I. I believe that Togarmah would be Haplogroup J, and I believe that Ashkenaz would be Haplogroup I. Haplogroup I typically seen among Germanic and Nordic peoples, and Haplogroup J typically seen among Caucasian peoples. Now, I have another playlist where I detail these specific groups and haplogroups and people. Check out my playlist, Haplogroup J, Caucasus hunter-gatherers, Yamnaya culture, Proto-Indo-Europeans, Anatolian origins of Proto-Indo-Europeans, Armenian origins of Proto-Indo-Europeans, Haplogroup I, Indo-Europeans, Japheth, Togarmah, Anatolians, and Germanics. I did not make these videos. Other people made these videos, but I created this playlist so y'all can have a deeper and broader understanding of the ancient Near East and ancient human populations and languages, because I feel like that you can just cover more information, not just by watching my videos, but other people's videos that kind of illustrate why I believe what I believe. And I will update these videos in due time. So check out these playlists. And again, my playlist is titled My Videos if you want to look at mine specifically. And I also had a recent series titled Haplogroup E versus J, who is Proto-Semitic. Check out this whole series if you want to know why I believe Haplogroup E is Semitic. I follow academic papers that literally say it. And Haplogroup J adopted the Semitic language from Haplogroup E. Also, that there are two types of people in the Middle East. One type of people in the Middle East with Haplogroup J typically have Iranian DNA that descend from Iranian peoples. There were ancient Indo-Iranian populations that lived in the ancient Middle East. The Mitanni Empire was Iranian ruled. The Kassite Empire was believed to be Iranian ruled. So there wasn't just Semitic people in the ancient Middle East. You had Indo-Europeans in the ancient Middle East. And genetically, we see that today. We see that Bronze Age European ancestry and many Middle Easterners, and Iranian ancestry and many Middle Easterners, typically associated with Haplogroup J. And people in the Middle East that have Haplogroup E are typically associated with ancient Levantine DNA and Natufian DNA. And as I went over earlier in the video, it is believed that Proto-Semites originated from the Levant. And so check out this video series that details all that information. I also go into phenotype, and I have a playlist detailing ancient Near Eastern civilizations like the Hittites, the Mitanni, and the Kassites, who were Indo-Europeans. Yes, there were in fact Europeans in the Middle East. It wasn't just Semitic people. And there was also Hurrians, but I'm not going to get too deep into them. My next video series will actually be about, we'll be getting deeper into Haplogroup J. Because believe it or not, I only scratched the surface of Haplogroup J. A lot of people believe that I only think Haplogroup J is Indo-European. This is incorrect. I was only doing basically an icebreaker of Haplogroup J. Y'all were y'all were looking at the top of the iceberg, but as you know, under an iceberg, under the water is even more information. I'm going to reveal who I truly believe is Haplogroup J in my next video series, because like I said, I only scratched the surface. So check out these playlists, and I have other playlists as well down below, and other videos, other playlists like genotype and the origins of Proto-Semitic, the origins of Afroasiatics, Old Earth and Young Earth creationism, from Shem to Eber to Abraham, and the genotype and phenotype of Proto-Semites. And I explain the concepts of genetics. I explain the concepts of an Old Earth and a Young Earth. Well, I make a playlist of people who explain it. And DNA in the Bible, Haplogroup E, Afroasiatic languages, Semitic languages, Natufian culture, Shem, etc., etc. So look into my playlist for more information. Don't just watch my videos. Check out the playlist because it has added detail that strengthen and look and strengthen our arguments and give more information and more teaching. So this is where I'm going to end the video. Thank you for everyone that joined us tonight. I typically have these live streams when I end a video series, a mini series. And so, don't get used to these live streams. It's only when a series ends that I do this. So, but thank you for everyone that came. Hopefully this was beneficial and y'all kind of grasped everything. And I might do another live stream sometime this week. There's possibly a debate that's going to happen. I don't know, but yeah, that's where I'm going to end everything. Everyone have a great day. Check out my social media sites. Let me just go ahead and show you that. Check out my social media platforms for more information. And with all of that out of the way, have a great day and shalom.
Shalom.